Oh, yeah, we got number. Cleveland Moto Podcast number 440, or for our Roman friends, CDXL. Nice. Light them up, boys. I'm just going to jiggle my glass.
Yeah.
Nerdy popped my top.
Even my ice is melted. Ooh. To my immediate left is, nope, Chris Smith isn't here.
No, Smith is not here.
And to his immediate left is
Steve Sleepy.
And to his immediate left,
Johnny Mac.
And to his immediate left, Dan Kromke's not here. No, oh my God, no Dan. And behind the bar tonight,
Tom Pennington.
In the rear.
In the rear.
So I have a beer fail. The beer is actually really good. It's a non-alcoholic beer, obviously. But they had an opportunity to do something kind of funny, and they didn't. So it's called Hellraiser Dark Amber. But it would have been better Heckraiser.
Heckraiser. Because, fuck yeah, because it's non-alcoholic.
Right.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
They could have rolled that in there a little bit.
For fuck's sake.
They should have. It never gets old.
It never gets old.
It just never gets old.
Just like an unvaccinated child.
That was actually pretty good.
The $10 and above Patreons are the only ones that get that one.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. We have to address the elephant in the room. I know a lot of our listeners have asked how come they're at the $10 level, but they're not getting the punchlines. That was a joke. You don't get if you're not getting the punchlines, that's your fault.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's our fault.
These are the jokes, folks.
These are the jokes, folks. That's it. There is not a $10
we're not
level.
Really a highbrow kind of show.
And we're not recording two different podcasts so that you can have the.
Well, we kind of did the one day because the only Patreons were the original Patreons, us that got to hear the show.
That's true. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yes. We don't
talk about that.
So true. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
I'm going to have to be honest. I don't think I've ever paid to listen to my
your own podcast.
You know what the funny part is?
Really?
You know what the funny part is? I thought about this the other day. I still have not changed my Patreon. Therefore, I still am a Patreon subscriber.
Oh, you are? Yeah. Nice.
Okay, big round of applause for Tom Pennington. Thank you, Tom.
And as you can see, we follow through with letting him on the podcast.
That's true. He's played along long enough.
I was a certain number. You all sent me a T-shirt.
Right, you got stuff.
Yeah. So Renee stuffed her box for you.
That's right.
Renee stuffed a box for me.
Did you ever thank her for stuffing her box?
I did not.
Ooh, just for you.
Oh no.
Do you know what's funny is we had a gentleman come into the shop the other day. He's riding cross country, and again, he's a fucking legend. I don't know what level he sponsors us, but he's a fucking legend. The reason he's a fucking legend is he flew from Houston, Texas to Cleveland, jumped off the airplane, got in the Uber, went to the Triumph dealership, and bought a 2010 Honda Interceptor. In the only color you should buy it, red. Manual 6-speed transmission, not that hokey fanoky CVT bullshit, DCT bullshit. And he bought that bike, and he's riding it from Cleveland, Ohio, back to Texas, back to Houston. And he decided, though, within minutes of getting the bike, literally minutes of getting the bike, he popped into our shop because we're only 5-6 blocks away from the Triumph dealer.
There are pictures, folks.
He pops in, nicest guy in the world, and immediately wants to see the shop, wants to see the former salubrious confines of Cleveland Moto Podcast. Having a great time. He's got like one rucksack with him because he's doing
Did you tell him he has to call to make an appointment?
It's wintertime, folks. You can walk right in practically. The door's locked, but
push the button.
Push the button, right? Exactly.
Push Phil's button.
We get you in. We get you in there, no problem. So, anywho, great guy. And I said, well, Renee, this is our friend, and he's flying, he flew in, and he's riding back on his, and he goes, this is Renee? And I went, yeah, this is Renee. And he goes, oh. And I was like, yeah, Renee, you know, because she handles all the swag.
No.
And I said, yeah, this is Renee. She stuffed her box for you. And he couldn't handle it. It was too much. It was overwhelming.
Did they think it was like a Mr. Snurgly, like a fake?
Like it was a fake person, maybe?
Yeah, no.
But also, I think coming face to face with Renee.
Never meet your heroes.
Oh, well, maybe just that idea. It was just a little too much to be like, okay, sexual harassment is every day at our shop. That's the life's blood we run on. But for an outsider, a gentleman, in fact, this guy was definitely a gentleman. For a gentleman to be stand there and be introduced to the woman that stuffed her box for him, it was too much.
Too much.
And I bet you they don't let that happen where he works. So that's probably a fact.
And then I showed up, and it was just weird.
He super cool guy, but very, very cool to meet.
He was like, I recognize that voice, and immediately started to hit mute.
Exactly.
It is. I really, really love when we get to meet people that listen to the podcast and show up and stuff. And that brings us
better when they buy things.
To the segue where we are going to have next week on our show. We're going to have two fellas from Michigan, Detroit area, that are both longtime listeners, but also ended up buying scooters. And these are people of a motorcycle persuasion that said, I'm going to try it. I'm going to get my pinky in the stinky. I'm going to get weird. I'm going to get a scooter and see what this is all about. And if we've done nothing more than to convert a bunch of you normal thinking motorcycle normies into scooter fags, I'm happy, because once you've done that, once you've kind of gotten a scooter and got that in your DNA a little bit, they're kind of fun.
Well, it's once you feel the wind up your skirt.
Up your skirt. That's
up
true.
Your skirt.
Yeah, they're coming from Michigan, so I mean, if some hot honey fell into their fucking cart on the way.
No, I believe something was mentioned about some mushroom caps.
No, that's
So I think they were just talking about that they're vegetarians or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think they were going to bring
That's what I'm saying.
I think they were talking about bringing an appetizer. Maybe they said something about bringing some mushrooms.
There we go.
All right, good.
So I figured that's nice. Tom usually provides the food if they want to bring an appetizer.
No. Wait.
Yeah.
Becky provides
the food.
Let's not forget. I just warm it up.
There you go. I think that if
I'm
these,
thinking like a pizza or a Philly cheesesteak or something would be awesome.
Oh,
but you don't want to have the mushrooms?
Toppings, yeah.
Well, yeah, mushroom toppings.
And
she's
just slide on some of that nice hot honey.
Tell you what, we can make the Philly cheesesteak happen with the mushroom
Right.
toppings.
There you go. Ta-da.
The worm has definitely turned.
The worm has turned, yeah. You guys got a little weird in episode 441.
I'm game.
That's it. I know. BSA said 441 was a victor.
Hey, if it's on a Friday, we're good, dude. I can set it up.
Yeah, nobody's got to work the next day except us.
Longest podcast.
Longest podcast. Just
They just
shoegazing the
kind
entire
of
time.
stood there and watched the ships on the.
Fair enough.
We recorded
screensaver.
digitally, but somehow we still ran out of
There
tape.
was 20. There was 23 minutes of giggling. Just giggling.
I don't know how that happened.
So those of you playing the home game,
We're all adults. We're all adults. Nobody's going to get in any trouble or lose their jobs over this stupid show.
No.
I don't know about that. Can you imagine somebody listening to this in a cubicle?
Oh no,
at
we've
work?
already had a person write a letter into us that said they were listening to it, enjoying it at work.
Yeah.
And
Human resources didn't enjoy it.
the young lady that was working at the reception desk outside of their office, clients were hearing it.
Yeah.
Came in and asked them to please stop
Listening to
the
us?
noise.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Right. And the problem is that person had to have a discussion with human resources.
Oh God.
But that person owns the company. So imagine the awkwardness of human resources that you hired asking you to stop playing your dumbass, prurient, childish podcast. Yeah.
Was that the fart episode?
I don't know. I don't know. They're all the same to me.
No, that's not.
Yeah. Anyway, motorcycle. As John said last week, we're trying to keep it topical.
Yeah.
So you're gonna notice right now that here we are at podcast episode number 440 that Tom and I are not at Barber.
Yeah. We failed.
What happened with that? I thought you had a spot and everything.
Maybe they came to their senses.
Well-
the reports I'm getting, I think they did the right thing.
Oh yeah, Nick, our man on the ground, Nick, has been reporting back.
We do have a man on the ground.
And
That's
Nick
right.
is going to give a call in, not tonight.
No, but let's
Nick is
talk.
gonna give a cap.
Let's talk about the important part. He called last night.
Yes.
and we could hear him. and understand him. And I was
Perfectly
like,
clearly.
Is there like a 15-hour time difference from Florida
That's
to
what
here?
I thought.
He was whispering.
I thought maybe there was a time delay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought maybe, you know how it is sometimes. We used to have a thing called the drunk dial list.
Yeah, it's got to be like 3 a.m.
And you'd volunteer
It has
to be on the drunk dial
everybody's
list.
down. They're down. It's 3
Right?
a.m., right?
But the problem was we'd be all well and lubricated at 2, 3 in the morning, calling people on the West Coast who'd just be getting the party
I
started.
missed the drunk dial list.
And then we'd be in bed at 6, 7 in the morning, and the people on the West Coast be calling us drunk dialing us.
Yeah, that's not as fun.
It was not nearly as fun. And when Nick called in, when Nick gave his report, he said it was an eerie silence.
I thought he was joking.
No.
And then he sends a video of literally a cricket chirping.
No.
And you heard one.
And he said, everybody just stop talking.
Yeah. It's
9:14.
It is literally it's Children of the Corn. It is the creepiest thing you've ever heard.
And then today he got in trouble because he started his motorcycle 15 feet from the. You have to You have to move it 15 feet. So like when you're in the swap shop, you have to push your ratty ass bike through the little gate and then start it outside of the gate. So he did get thankfully yelled at today once for starting.
Demerits. One more and you're out of here.
One more and you're out.
The hell?
It's a couple of, so for ages. I'm not, this is from my end because I have spent 15 years in the swap meet there. For ages, you could ride if you were a swap meet vendor inside of the swap meet, but everybody else had to push or walk. Okay. And so about 5 years ago, give or take, they decided even the swap meet vendors couldn't ride their bikes through. So if you sold a bike, you had to push the bastard all the way to the end of the end of your aisle, and we were always either at the wrong end or in the middle. And it was the biggest pain in the ass but there are so many people just gawking in the middle of the stalls.
That's a swap meet. That's every swap meet on the planet ever.
I get it.
I mean, do you think that people aren't gawking at Mid-Ohio?
But
people are gawking at Mid-Ohio.
You know, they just decided a couple of years ago, nope, can't do it. So now Nick's not swap meet. He doesn't have the band. He doesn't have the magic band around his wrist. You know,
does that mean he's not allowed into the swap meet?
No, he can go in the swap meet.
All right.
But he can't start the bike
on foot.
On foot.
Fuck that.
Oh, that's not good.
So, but you know, I actually meant to ask him if he actually got down into the basement at Barber, because that's where they're doing all the lectures and stuff.
Okay, all right.
Because he was like, well, I'm at the very top, because he messaged everybody individually accidentally.
Yeah, I had that, yeah.
And I asked him, I said, dude, have you been to the basement yet? Because that's where the lecture hall's down there.
Right.
Their warehouse is down there where all the stuff is they haven't restored yet. It's actually a really cool trip.
Okay.
But you can always go to the museum without having to go to Barber Vintage Days.
All right.
So
from my Barber's Vintage Festival Facebook group today, at give or take 2 p.m. Barber Standard Time, there's a complaint. was wielded.
Lodged.
Now, a complaint was launched not to security, not to staff, not to Spicy McHaggis, the swap mart attendee. The complaint was launched to the people of Facebook, and I will read the complaint to you. When did they start letting people ride through the swap meet on motorcycles? Well, Karen, let me talk to you about that. It's a motorcycle event. And as Mr. Aldana said, as he was the keynote speaker at the AMA Vintage Days, and he's talking to a tent full of, 200 or 300 people that worship road racing and respect Mr. Aldana, our buddies over at the Skidmark Garage fired up a water buffalo or a Titan 500 at 93 billion decibels and no pipe ises. And he got drowned out by the sound of two-stroke. And he was chuckled, and he goes, hey, man, it's a motorcycle event.
Yep.
Right? It's a motorcycle event.
Hey, John was doing a
turn it
burnout
up and do some motorcycle shit.
in a tent where we
While
just
we
did
were
an
doing the
AMA
podcast.
thing. And, well, no, and then the president of the AMA was trying to talk next door.
Right.
So, I mean,
Hey, man,
It's
a motorcycle event. Let's do some motorcycle shit.
what the most. ironic part about all this, I guess, is that I've talked to guys in the swap meet that have been around Barber forever.
Right.
Like they have known Mr. Barber like from back in the day. Even Fire Jay, like we jokingly fucked around with him one year, and it turns out he actually was hanging out with Mr. Barber. And apparently he's a really cool guy.
Sure.
And he loves jackassing around.
Okay.
But the entire thing around him has turned into this total show.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's this.
I feel like an insurance company got involved.
It must have. Well, yeah, probably. this entire pretense of, no, we have to have this really strict, really rule bearing everything else. And meanwhile, I guarantee he would probably go up to the third floor and do a burnout on a Vincent.
On the carpet.
Just for fun.
Right.
I am only bringing my bike to the bike show if it's going to be judged. That kind of guy.
By people that I'll judge on the way to the judging.
I was going to say, dude, you don't have to go anywhere for me to judge you. I mean, I'm sorry.
Judging's free, right?
Judging's free.
And so I do want to pull this up because this is bizarre.
Yeah.
So this is an invoice. First of all, I've been going to AMA Vintage Days since it was conceived, when it was at the fairgrounds, right? And I've never actually seen an invoice for AMA Vintage Days. I either pay there at the thing if I want to walk around and be a spectator.
Yeah.
I pay there and they give me a little wristband and I fuck, right? Or I get in touch with them weeks and weeks in advance and I pay for my camping spot. And nobody mails me this. This is an actual real. We didn't Photoshop this. This isn't fake. We didn't make this up. There is a 2-day Paddock Club sports grill food pass.
Oh yeah,
is that a food pass, Tom?
Yeah. It is kind of like being at the VIP. We were talking about.
We have
the Angels and
more importantly, I want to remind you, we have something that's more relevant than that.
Yeah.
At AMA Vintage Days, you can spend a certain amount of money and get a VIP pass and get all the food and all the beverages you want. It's wine and it's beer and it's in the little tower on the infield where they have the Wall of Death set up. So right behind the Wall of Death for $90, or maybe it's $100, I can't recall. But you get all the food that they have and all the drinking you care to do at AMA Vintage Days for $100. For all 3 days of the event. I've done it. I threw down the $100 and I went in there and I drank about 14 cans of beer over the course of the 3-day weekend. And I ate out of the big trays of pasta and meat and stuff they brought out. And I got to say, for 3 days, $30 a day, I felt like I may not have broken even. I was like, I'm not going to do that again because I eat raccoon style, whatever comes along, I eat. I thought that because I eat raccoon style,
and with the addition of Becky, you'll never.
This is exactly right. No shit.
Yeah, no. If we don't,
there'll be no want and need.
The cafeteria tent next year is just going to be outrageous.
Well, 2 years ago when I paid the $100, 2 years ago when I paid the $100 or whatever it was, I ate splendidly for all 3 days of the event. Now, Tom, what you're telling me is now, Tom, this isn't for 1 day.
Yeah.
Now, Mid-Ohio's for all 3 days.
Right.
This is for 2 days.
This should be two or three. I don't.
It says I can read. There's words, and I can read those words.
I can't see that far. My glasses are horrible.
The word says it's a 2-day Paddock Club sports grill.
And see, Dean's gonna. I have never been on that end, so Dean's gonna be the person you probably want to talk to about this.
Well, I can read numbers, man.
I understand. I don't.
They're getting $400 for that.
It could be filet mignon and caviar for all I know.
It could, but it's still.
I can buy a lot of that for $400.
It's still
that's true.
$400.
You also get the 50-year aged Grey Poupon.
Okay.
Free bottle of Blanton's.
Okay.
I don't know.
Next one. Has anybody here done a parade lap at Mid-Ohio?
$10.
Thank you. And how many laps did they give you?
3
at least.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's $10.
Huh.
Barber.
That's a lot more than 10.
Barber, it is $80 for two people.
That's two people.
That's two people.
Because I've done the parade lap at Barber twice.
$40.
It is.
That's a lot of money.
And I was wondering why you had the Barber sticker on the front of your buddy's scooter.
Yep.
And I realized had I invested $40.
Oh, yeah.
I might want to go buy a $5 sticker to prove that I'd spent the $40.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because at Mid-Ohio, it's $10 and you're riding around with some legend of motorsports.
Yeah.
Right. You know, they drag up Barry Sheen or somebody, you know, and they put them out on, you know, a cart.
I'm going to go out on a long, flimsy limb and guess that they're probably not letting Coleman mini bikes out on their track.
No, it's got to be capable. It's got to be, I think the minimum is 125.
I'm sure there are a whole list of rules that you must comply with.
It's more of a speed thing and a power thing than it is a Coleman mini bike, because the Coleman mini bikes.
Oh, the whole event seems like a power thing.
Yeah, true.
Oh, the velvet glove inside the iron. The iron fist inside the velvet glove. Sorry. Okay, now motorhome.
Yeah.
Lot C.
Yep.
$130.
Now that out of
That's
all the
actually
things,
cheaper.
that seems reasonable.
Yeah.
My question about that is, I don't know. I can't read the rest of it, whether that's actually what it costs to park the motorhome. I don't know if that's what that is. I'm not sure. I'm not willing to go there.
I like that the processing fees are $60.
Yeah.
Now hold on. And it's $60 processing fees.
Right.
And it's $5 to ship the order.
Yeah. So what are they processing?
Well, you know, they're processing your order. They're hand massaging your order.
So
and then
when you went to their website and you pressed their buttons yourself.
Yes, but
Hey,
also
Phil,
Sleepy.
Phil,
yeah,
wait.
go ahead.
They don't have Renee to stuff their box.
That's true.
Right, but you just paid $60 to self-checkout.
I'm sorry. You paid $60 to pick the things on the boxes.
Yeah.
You didn't have somebody come to your house and press the buttons for
Yeah.
you.
Right.
They charged you a processing fee, but then they have the balls to charge you $5 for an email.
Right.
Or
no, the guy wanted
an envelope full of stickers, right?
Yeah.
An envelope full of stickers. Now,
well, no, the stickers are important.
What I'm seeing and when I read this is what I see is that you've got all you can eat at the Paddock Club. I don't know what it is. It's 2 days, right? So it's 2 days at the Paddock Club.
Filet mignon, lobster tail, caviar.
No way.
Dom Perignon.
No fucking way.
No fucking way.
Barber Museum is not included in any ticket. So you got to pay more to get in the museum. Okay. The hours of operation for the Paddock Sports Club Grill is 8 a.m. and then it closes 30 minutes after the last race. That's no big deal. I don't care about that. You have access to a climate-controlled room on the second floor. Well, there you go. All you can eat lunch. Had that at Mid-Ohio. Non-alcoholic beverages. What? Wait a second. Hold on. Stop. Hold on. Hold the fuck on.
You have my ear?
Cash bar. Wait, on top
So
of
you're paying
$400 for two people,
Now I'm offended.
I have a cash bar? Wait a fucking second, man. So you give me a lunch, and all you can eat lunch. It's not open for dinner because it closes after the racing. It closes after racing's over. So basically, you're giving me lunch from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. and a cash bar.
Yeah.
For $200 per swing and dick.
Well, that's just
So
it's the right to be there.
So for this charity event, who's the benefactor? Is this like going like
Just a barber.
It's like a fundraiser for what?
I didn't know this was
Kids with
supporting.
cancer or
I had
something?
no idea that this was supporting all the barbers. So like this is offsetting the people who cut hair for a living.
It's look.
Yeah.
It's the state of Alabama. They only have three.
Oh, my
They only have three businesses that support everybody in the entire state of Alabama.
And this is one of them.
One of which is the Florabama, which is on the Florida-Alabama border. And then Barber.
Isn't that a
and
terrible
then-
country band, Florida Bama Line or something?
No.
Isn't that like?
Well, no.
So anyway, on to
hurts
my
so
weapons
much.
of VMD. I had a lot of time to think of this.
Moving right along.
So wait, nobody knows what you're talking about.
WMD, your weapons of motorcycle
No,
days.
weapons of VMD.
Vintage motorcycle.
So
I got that. Weapons of motorcycle days. WMDs.
But so this came from because nobody knows what we're talking about. So Nick was texting us, and saying maybe he should try to set some like noisemakers up or something just to add some festivity to the thing. And so John ran with that, and it became
Well, what I said was I'd like to devise some SAW-style devices on a timer that would take a small volunteer fire department to disarm once they've gone out. Which would include something to make. I thought.
I think even talking about it puts us on a watch list.
Yeah. Okay. We're done.
Only in the state of Alabama.
Well, it's very unlikely I'll ever go to there. I'll go to the museum, but I'll probably.
It's
I'm going to guess that if we did get out of control at Barber, they probably have their own air assault team drop in and shut us down.
They would never be able to hit me. First of all, there's going to be no DNA or fingerprint evidence.
The Mooney or Leeds, I don't know which one. Sheriff's Department is probably going to show, like they're already there on site.
Like my first and foremost one is going to be just a Briggs & Stratton motor.
Yes.
In a metal box.
Yes.
Welded closed.
Welded closed.
But I'm going to put a hole in the side of the box with the pool start. And it's going to have a 5-gallon fuel cell in there.
Right.
A little bit of ventilation. And it's going to just say, pull me.
Pull me. And you can't shut it off.
And it's going to sit somewhere. And somebody's going to be like, okay, I'll pull it. And then he might not start.
No.
But eventually somebody will pull it and it'll go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it'll run for
I think
3 days.
No, it's called the cheap generator simulator.
It's a generator. It's just going to run for 3 days.
Generator
And
simulator.
people are going to be like, what the fuck is this? Somebody shut this fucking thing up. They're going to be like, I don't know. I can't turn it up. It won't. Like, what are we going to do with it? We're going to they'll have to haul it away or throw it in a lake.
Oh, and then you got to spike it into the ground with like some fucking screw
you
so
do.
you can't pick it up.
Right.
Okay.
I got a ground anchors.
I think you're just overthinking
We'll
this.
run we'll have the spark plug wire touching the chassis. So when they touch it,
yeah.
look at that.
I like that too. That's a good idea. Make the case the spark plug lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, make the case the spark plug lead. I
That's
like
well
that.
overthought.
Oh, that's great.
But that's just one. I have a whole bunch, but I can't
That's
talk
a good
about
idea. So for fun, I went ahead and typed the following words into Google. Chaos at Barber Motorcycle Days. 0 hits. I typed in chaos at AMA Vintage Motorcycle Days.
Oh, there's like 700 videos.
It just goes on and on and on. It goes on forever.
There's OnlyFans accounts.
How you know that that the chaos at Mid-Ohio is so overpowered is that when you type in chaos at Barber Motorcycle Days, I bring it up for your perusal. When you type in chaos at Barber Motorcycle Days, do you know what comes up?
Road racing.
No, AMA Vintage Days.
Oh, you're right.
So even when you don't put the word AMA Vintage Motorcycle Days into it, you put Barber in there intentionally to pull the search away from AMA.
Right.
Do you know what comes up? AMA.
Right.
So AMA is so powerful. Its vintage pull is so strong that it pulls all the search hits away from Barber.
Right.
Wow. So you can't even associate the word chaos with Barber. It automatically defaults the word chaos to AMA.
I want like a clapped old CBR that's worthless.
Yeah.
But we're going to rig it so that it'll just every hour on the hour, it'll fire up full throttle whoop, 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 and shut off
Right to the rev limiter.
for 2 seconds. Whoop, 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 and then just die. And people will be like, who the fuck did that?
Right.
And there won't be a person.
No, there won't be anybody near it.
It will, unless you're there to see it do it. And then even then you'll be like, how did it do that?
How did it do that?
What did it do that?
Just a timer on the ignition switch.
Well, that's it'd be
A
kind of
timer
cool.
on the button.
You ever see the European dudes that go to rally races or whatever, and they'll have like a CB750 motor on a stand with like metal trumpets connected to it, and their job is just to go. That's what you need. Just one of those, just operating.
Well, I mean, that happened at Vintage Days all the time. Like,
It's
even in the
Superbike.
pits and everything, it would just be like, you'd be sitting there and then you'd hear, boom, 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 boom. And then it would go around and it would bounce around. Like,
Yeah, but those are motorcycles. These dudes just have motors on a wheelie stand that they bring
That's
just
exactly
to be loud
right.
fucking
Yeah.
idiots.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's the guy who shows up and they let him in.
Yeah.
They let him in with a wheelbarrow with a
mo-
KZ900 motor on it
Right.
and a fucking Vuvuzela horn on it, knowing he ain't going to ride it.
No, he's just literally.
He's
gonna
not
go,
bringing parts for a motorcycle he's going to build later. He's aiming noise at the other side of the track. And you know what they're doing? They're aiming noises right back.
Right.
And this is what happens. And if you've ever gone to an event, sporting event, and you've been like, God, if I hear another Vuvuzela, I'm going to fucking kill somebody. This is that times a million. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've been to several European races, and that is real. That's a thing that people do. It's fucking bonkers, man. Yeah.
hide things in the shrubs.
Oh, I definitely didn't need to hear that entire.
Well, and this is what I was thinking. Not to give
Did
anybody.
you know how many GY6 150 motors I can come up with, and how many trumpets and trombones that I can attach to them?
Exactly. This is the whole thing.
And here's the thing, too, though.
What the?
Somebody in our group asked earlier if it was possible to wheelie a sidecar rig.
But that looks more like a speedway bike.
What? Yeah, it's still a sidecar rig.
Oh.
But I think he was talking about one of the lay down ones, like the flat
with the monkey and the.
I posted my picture riding a Bajaj on 2 wheels. And,
True.
Yeah. Well, a Bajaj sidecar.
But I think Johnny Chrome was right because he said that the lay down sidecar rigs, the wheels, none of them are in line.
Right.
So it would be really hard to wheelie. Like one would have to lift everything else off.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it would do exactly what the Bajaj did. It'll turn right.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it'll do exactly what it's meant to do. It'll start turning right really hard, which is cool, which is fun. As long as you know it's coming and you lean into it, you're fine.
I think if you tried hard enough, it wouldn't be too big of a problem. They're dark-sided. They have a big fat tire on the back.
That's true.
So if somehow the rider got all the way back and the monkey got as far back to the back.
So if you
just
have a
pop the
racing
clutch,
sidecar and you're listening to us right now, we would like you to send us an email, a message, get on our Discord, which Phil hasn't set up yet.
Nope.
By the way, Dark Side on Moto Stories still climbed over 8,000 views.
Crazy how many people are into that.
Still get comments.
Yeah.
You all seem like a nice bunch, but you're stupid. Like that's kind of one of the big ones.
No, it's real polarizing.
Oh, yeah.
People feel fucking strongly about
If you don't
about
want
Dark
to
Side.
turn in any direction, go for it. Use a car tire.
This guy will tell you differently. Tail of the dragon, forward, backwards, sideways,
Upside down.
fucking,
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, they're really great until you get to that edge.
ways.
Oh come on,
I'd say that guy's getting some.
bring the hate mail.
I'd say that guy's getting some. You see that picture right there? That dude's getting some.
Yeah, that's
That dude's getting a little
You know
bit.
what?
that Valkyrie's all over the place.
My new opinion of dark siding is I don't care.
I don't exactly. Exactly. Boy, ain't that the truth. Yeah, I don't fucking care, man. I just don't care.
There's so many worse things.
If that's
to
your
worry about,
technique, if that's the thing that you're gonna do to get,
I get it. 30,000 miles.
Yeah,
on a $60
exactly.
tire is
Right.
a great deal.
yeah, totally. I get that. That's totally
I also
fine.
like turning left and right. So
Yeah, I also right.
yeah,
There's nothing wrong
I'll
with that.
pay $120 so that I can lean over a little bit more.
If I can have my motorcycle be less and less and less like a car and more and more like a motorcycle, I'm probably pretty happy about
And if I wanted more, I'd just buy a fucking Miata.
That's true too. Right. That's absolutely true. There's no question about that. But that is the deal.
And the other part of it is beside there are the 250,000 mile a year touring guys.
Yes.
That's their thing.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
Okay, they're probably experienced enough. They've probably adapted their bike and shit, whatever. But most of the guys that are arguing with you are the guy with the 91 Virago with fucking there's so many other things that are wrong with it that the fact that he even has a tread, any tread on the back of the fucking motorcycle.
In the name.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So take their comments for what they
Again,
are.
the people that I've known that have talked to me about it, who have used it, have all been very high mileage people.
Yeah.
And I'm not a very high mileage person. I'm not. I commute back and forth to work. I do occasional fun trips.
I like the idea of putting the bike
Yeah.
into a truck or on the back of an RV.
Right.
Going wherever the fuck I'm
Going to the
go,
sexy place. Yeah. Right.
Getting there. Because you had a very good point when we first started talking about travel. You said you want to go somewhere that has better food
Right.
or a better location than where you're currently at.
Yeah.
And the reality is, after driving from Barber back to New Orleans, with literally the throttle pegged until the red light came on and said you need gas, riding on the interstate is the most boring fucking thing you can do in your life.
It is. It is.
And that's literally the 6 hours of my life was just holding the throttle until the light came on. So if I can get to where I'm going, I'd rather. Did the furnace just kick on?
It did.
Oh,
I got the thing set at like 60.
It's 38 degrees outside. Dude. It dropped like 25 degrees, man.
That is the wildest thing. I had the air conditioner on yesterday.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a new one because I was
My
thinking
God,
earlier,
man.
like maybe I should deal with that, but now I think it's set at 60.
Turn it off.
I'll go upstairs.
There's a switch that says off.
Up here.
I don't turn the switch on my furnace to heat until there's snow on the ground.
I think it's
Yeah.
set at 60.
I married the right woman. She's got the windows open. It's like, oh, it's going to drop to 48 tonight. She's like, good. She's got the windows open. She loves it.
Yeah, more
Absolutely
blankets,
loves it.
more blankets.
Yeah, she's great with that shit. I'm a huge fan of the way she behaves about that shit. I don't know anything about golf at all, not even a little bit. But apparently this fella's quite popular, and I saw this today. And so it's Tiger Woods, obviously, talking to whatever his name is.
John Daly.
Is that what his name is?
Yeah.
John Daly?
John
so Tiger
man.
Woods, it says Barber Vintage Motorcycle Days, and it says John Daly Mid-Ohio Vintage Motorcycle Days. I don't know fuck about John Daly, but I know that guy, and that guy's at Mid-Ohio.
Let me tell you how. Okay, I don't.
Yeah.
The only reason I know about golf is because I used to have to edit it. Right?
Oh, that's right. You did have that job.
Yeah. So that was a thing that I had to do.
Yeah, you had that job. I remember.
John
that.
Daly is Mid-Ohio.
Yeah.
Like he'll show up drunk to a PGA tournament
Yeah.
where like his name was too big, so they couldn't kick him off. But he'd also drive a 400-yard fucking drive down the fairway.
Yeah.
And then, mediocre.
Again.
Whatever. But he'd be gambling in the middle of a PGA game, like against somebody else.
Sure.
All kinds of fun shit
Yeah.
like that. Like he is. And then he did show up just wearing ridiculous fucking shit all the time. So then he was loud. He'd be drinking beers with the fans and crushing them on his head.
Those pants he's wearing in this picture are Natterdays.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
He's wearing Natterdays pants right now. I know they are.
And so like him smoking on the fairway, and stuff, that's completely.
He's not like smoking a cigar and being like, I'm classy. No. He's smoking a fucking Marlboro.
Yeah.
Right.
And he'll crush a Miller Lite in the middle of a fucking PGA tournament, like just on a fucking thing. Like he's actually.
I'm going to say that this is the spirit meme of Barber versus Mid-Ohio.
Right.
So that's great. So that's cool. So we're not there. And
Nick is, though. We're going to get
a full report. Nick is an excellent ambassador for us.
Nick will give us the full report.
He'll give us the full report. That's good. We do. It's we're not speaking just totally out our asses.
Mike was.
We have an ambassador there,
and our buddies Adam Constantine.
Yes.
And Nick Vaccaro went down too.
We have some locals there,
and we'll get Dean in on this too.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. And it's if you're racing, yes, by all means, please. I have gone to some rather backwater places to race motorcycles where there was nothing happening, but the idea is if you're not racing and you're just going there to sell motorcycles, you're going there to buy vintage motorcycle parts, you might as well have some chaos in the package too. I mean, that's yeah. That's like getting the Cracker Jacks and realizing they left the prize out.
Why you got to sleep so much?
Right. Why you got to sleep so much? Right.
Oh, no. The first year that I went.
Yeah.
Fire J and I were chastised is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
Because after, as Nick pointed out, about 9:30, this guy who was selling like old stoplights and stop signs and road signs and like Coca-Cola,
Coleman lanterns,
like shit you'd find at a flea market.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I was like, hey, you kids, you need to keep it down. I'm gonna get up at like 6:30 in the morning, and I'm like,
shut up, or I'm going to come over there and stomp a muddy hole in your ass.
like, dude, what the hell? Like, I'm riding around in a Vespa GT250 with a camp chair, a rolling chair, office chair.
Yeah.
With a keg still 3/4 full.
On the office chair.
On the office
delivering
chair.
The beer to the happy
Delivering the
people.
Beer to whoever wants it.
So that.
With somebody on the back. With
free beer.
With Fire J racing me.
Yeah, okay.
And we're catching hell for it.
No, you're giving beer to people for free.
We are distributing beer. And
you should be heralded as a savior of the masses.
Right?
My God,
and we were yelled at.
The last time I got yelled at, McElfresh and I, and we were doing this thing. We ride around Lake Erie, right? And it's for charity, so you can get away with a lot. But the race starts at, what's first bikes out? It's 0600?
6 o'clock.
0600, right? And so it's the night before.
So stupid.
And the event is on a Saturday at 0600. And you got to go around the lake, which some people takes like 14 hours. So McElfresh and me and our friend Big Gay Nick, we're sitting up, and the sun had just barely gone down.
Well, wasn't it raining and we were standing on a picnic table holding a pop-up tent down?
We were holding a pop-up tent and we were listening to music being played through a iPhone 4, right?
Those are known for their excellent speakers.
Great acoustics.
Right?
The boom box of the mid-noughties, right?
iPhone, yeah.
Okay.
Standing on the picnic table because there was like 6 inches of water on the ground.
It was a fucking fiasco. So we're standing there and we're having a conversation at 1/2 of the decibels we're giving you right now. And it was moments after 10 p.m. And it was me, John, and Nick entertaining ourselves. And honestly, pickings were slim. And we were having a chat. And it was like 10. Whatever. And not one, but a couple of motherfuckers. What did they tell us, John?
I don't remember, but
they told us it's too late. You guys need to tone it down.
Well, I can tell you for certain we did not, because I know we stayed up till about fucking 5 o'clock.
Yes,
and
we did.
Like, at one point, I was like, well, no, he was trying to go to sleep.
Okay. So everybody that told us to shut the fuck up and go to bed and turn off our music that was being played through an iPhone. John, what place did you come into that race?
1.
Okay, John, what place did I come into that race?
2.
Okay, fuck everybody else. Because John and I were up until about 4 o'clock in the morning entertaining ourselves. And John won, and I came in second. So to everyone that's not John or me, fuck you. Oh, and by the way, that same weekend that John and I rode around one lake, Nick rode around 2 lakes. So we went out and he took first place. I took second place in the Lake Erie Loop. Right. He went and got a Saddle Sore 1000 by riding around not just Lake Erie, but Lake Ontario, 1,000 plus miles in less than 24 hours. So if you're not Nick Vanello, who did over 1,000 miles in 24 hours.
I'll give him the props.
Fuck yeah. Unassisted, no chase truck, nothing.
Yep.
Hardcore. He did over 1,000 miles in 24 hours. John won. I came in second place, and we were the people that kept the place up all night, or supposedly was interfering with their fucking sleep.
Maybe that was the ringer. Maybe you guys messed with their heads.
I can almost hear you guys from inside my RV.
What you also have to tell the people
holding the pop-up up in the rain.
Your competition are all sponsored by New Balance sneakers, and they, instead of having a GPS or anything, most of them have printed off small sheets of directions that they tear off as they go.
I know what, Sleepy, I know that you want to build a picture of that, but
I was there. I've done it.
There were ringers.
That was the early days of Garmin. Everybody had Garmin.
Everybody had a Garmin. Everybody had some sneaky trick in their back pocket.
I had nothing.
I just kept the lake on my right. It's real fucking easy.
I looked at the map. Clockwise. I'm like, well, you go to Toledo, you go up 75, you go across the QEW, come back down around. I mean,
that's it. Fuck? If you can make it through Fort Erie, if you can make it through Buffalo unscathed, the hardest part is being in Detroit and being in Buffalo, right?
So what year was? Because when me and John, the last one wasn't one, but before that. Like the youngest guy was 74 years old.
This was an earlier day of the event when people were coming at it hard, and everybody had a cheat system. Everybody had they're going to draft behind their buddy's Chevy Astro van with the tailgate open. They're going to do a hot refuel at 70 miles an hour. They're going to take the gas tank off of one bike and put it on the other bike. Everybody had a cheater system. People were, this motor is really a 212, but we're calling it a 200 and all this bullshit. Like, it was high stakes the first couple of times out because this idea was, it was a race. There was no doubt. Nobody ever said, this is a time trial. That would have been
almost 16, 17 years ago.
I know.
Because I think Peggy was pregnant with Piper.
I think you're right.
Bruce said that one time.
Mm-hmm. Hey, what happened to Piper this week?
She got her driver's license.
I saw the picture, dude. Go. Congratulations, man.
You guys might want to stay off the road or just keep a good eye out.
Go get her motorcycle temps right now.
She was a little bit nervous, but she handled it very well. She did the maneuverability perfectly.
Which car she use?
The Altima.
The Altima.
That's the one she's been practicing on.
Cool.
God, I had to go over that thing. I'm like, okay, okay, turn single, tail lights out, running lights are out, shut the engine light off. Jesus Christ, what am I? And then I'm like, the tire TPS system, that's a light on. I'm like, I hope they don't this car is unsafe. We cannot try it. So I had to go get the oil change, and then I wrote on it, double check tires. Right. And I signed it that day. I'm like, look, we have a note.
We have a note. We have a literal note.
But the guy was really cool. Okay. I know some people have had a hard time at the DMV, but he was really nice. And it was like, and she was like, that was like so not what I thought it was going to be. Because it's like 10 minutes. Like you go through the cones, you pull to the left, you back up and back out.
Right.
And then that was it.
They got a lot of tests to get.
Unlike Europe.
You go around the block, you make 3 lefts, pull back in the parking lot, you're good.
You're done.
In Europe, they're like, okay, we start our 2,500-mile road trip.
Well, Peggy texted me and she's like, I'm so tempted to let Piper drive. I'm like, to homecoming at Lakewood High School tonight? Where there's ferocious parking and it's going to just be stupid? I'm like,
it's going to be stupid.
No.
It's going to be stupid. Yeah.
And I'm like, we also have that little thing we got to like, now she, like, when you have your permit, she's just naturally grandfathered on our insurance.
Right. Yeah.
But now that she has her license, she has to be added, and she has not been added. So no.
No, as far as your insurance company is concerned, she's still on her temps.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she doesn't need to drive tonight.
Right on. Hey, do you know those people that actually listen to us? We call them Patreons.
I've heard of that.
I love our Patreon.
People listen to us?
So, hey guys, this is Paul. Remember I had my 18-year-old daughter at Mid-Ohio last year. I know you guys don't know a ton about animal husbandry. But
anyway,
I grew up in it, and I feel like you guys should know some of the basics. And with that in mind, will you please pass this video link on to Sleepy?
Oh, I watched it.
Oh, dear.
So he can be educated about ducks.
Yeah, fuck ducks. I never wanted ducks. I don't know where ducks came from, but fuck ducks.
Oh, is this the true facts about the duck? Is this the true facts about the duck?
You do not want his wife getting ducks if there are children in the neighborhood.
Yep.
No.
You probably don't want to watch this video either, because then you will know what happens.
So if you're playing the home game, the YouTube search is true facts.
No, all you got to do though, but
the
what the guy doesn't know is that I lived in Cleveland Heights, which is right next to John Carroll University, where every Chad in the world goes, which basically equates to all the ducks.
Yeah.
So I've seen that all play out as dudes at John Carroll University.
Except they don't have a 12-inch coiled penis with barbs.
Right, that goes the opposite way.
That goes the opposite way, right?
Yeah, that's what I see.
Yeah,
although I don't know though.
I like what he closes
his.
he closes his email very simply. It says, "Fucking hate ducks."
Yeah, fucking ducks.
Fucking hate ducks.
And that goes for Oregon too. Fuck ducks.
Just watch the video. True facts about the duck.
Yep.
Again, it opened my eyes. I'll never look at anything the same ever again.
The entire series is amazing.
Nope.
Is that where the whole saying "fuck a duck" came from?
Oregon. It comes from that.
And you know what? After watching the video, and somebody says "fuck a duck," no way, man.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. All right. Are you ready? John Nadrotowski. You guys might remember John Nadrotowski. He's a Patreon member, and he has sent us an actual honest-to-God motorcycle tech question.
Oh, dear.
That isn't about ducks.
Okay.
But it is about a Honda SL350.
Okay.
The corkscrew penis is the way to go with this.
It is the corkscrew penis. Guys, I need help from the Honda Whisperer.
I'm listening.
There's a weird...
That's somebody's
audio.
mic is going.
Okay, all right. Anyway.
Tom's eating his
It's probably me.
All right. Guys, I need help from the Honda Whisperer. My SL350 will start to run really poorly after a few minutes at a sustained 55 miles per hour. It acts like it's running on one cylinder, and it will sputter unless I back off the throttle for a minute or two. Then it slowly gets better. I'm at a loss. I already changed the points out for an electronic ignition from Common Motor.
First mistake.
Give it a minute. Get the full description.
The fuel lines are new, and I put inline filters in them. Okay. All right. Those are your facts.
Yeah.
That's it.
I can tell you that there have been a couple bikes in my history that have done something similar.
Yeah.
And it always seems to be the right cylinder. I don't know if you mentioned whether it was the right or left cylinder.
Yep.
But fucking Hondas sometimes want to drop the right cylinder, and it's really weird. And it's one of those things that on at least 2 occasions, I never really quite got to the bottom of it. The bike would run fine if you stayed slow.
Right.
But if you started going over like 45, 55 for an extended period,
Yeah.
boo.
Do you think it's draining the float bowl in one carb?
Absolutely.
It's what it seemed like.
Yeah.
And my question is going to be, because you said SL350.
Right.
Is this a single outlet petcock or a dual outlet petcock?
Should be I mean, if it's any, I don't know specifically with the SL, but most of those bikes had dual outlet petcocks.
Because they have two and two.
Yep. 2 and 2.
So the question becomes, number one, coming from my end of the spectrum, is what kind of condition is the interior of his tank like?
Right.
Is there any rust, any surface rust? Is it clean as a fucking,
Well, we could do that. I mean, you could try to hook up like a auxiliary tank of any other kind.
Well,
but one of my favorite things is you can go on Amazon and buy the SSR tank with a cap and a petcock for like $23.
Yeah.
And that bitch will sit on just about anything and zip tie down, and you could use it as a spare tank.
It may be a flow issue. If it's restrictive flow through the petcock, it may be that. It also may be because this is the beginning of sealed petcocks where it might not be venting properly.
I've had that similar situation happen to a CB175 and a CB160.
Yep. So
and it was perplexing.
My money is on it's obviously a gas issue.
1971 Honda SL.
Because too, now if you pull over and stop for a little bit or shut it off and get back on, it'll run great for a little bit. Run great for a little bit and then fall on its face.
But he already said if he rolls off of it to if he backs off, it fixes the problem. So it's a slow fuel issue.
I have some information for the peanut gallery.
Yeah.
The Honda SL 350 has only one petcock on the right-hand side.
Yep.
It is a petcock that has 2 gazoutas.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it has 2 gazoutas, and it has just one petcock.
But it's a dual output.
Dual output.
And so
you can start by clean the shit out of your tank and your petcock.
Or remove your fuel lines from your petcock.
Mm-hmm.
Put a pint glass under it. Turn the petcock on. Make sure it's flowing out of both nipples. And then put it in reserve. Make sure it's flowing out of both nipples.
Yeah.
Then
we'll also want to see the flow
make sure it fills up.
Well, the flow volume per second is going to be what you falls down to
but make sure there's a hole in your fucking gas cap.
That's what I was thinking. When that happens, try popping your cap or cracking your cap and see if that does anything.
Because if you recently creamed or Caswelled your gas tank, you got a problem. Whatever it is, the gas cap is a cap that is designed to vent.
Yep.
So if you don't have a vent functioning, you're going to have a fucking problem.
You know what I found? I just used this for that dude's bike that I worked on, my friend's little CB350.
Yeah.
He had all kinds of shit in the gas tank.
Yeah.
On Amazon, they're made for people that enjoy herbs.
Right.
But they're pipe cleaning straws.
Yes. Right.
But they're they have metal, like they're not straws, they're not pipe cleaners, but like it's like they're made by Norwex. They're made for cleaning
tip cleaners.
No, these are made for cleaning the inside of fucking straws.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, like metal straws, right? But they're metal little fucking brushes. Yep. You can shove that. They make the smallest one will go right up into the fucking
like a miniature bore brush.
Yeah, exactly. And
so that's a real good tip.
Yeah.
Because these
I would shortcutting this. Both Johnny and I agree it is going to be a fuel flow issue.
Except for I have one more thing that it could be. I'm instilled with confidence because he said that he's replaced it with an aftermarket electronic ignition. We have seen the points or electronic ignition pickups that happen to be under the chrome plated cover on the top of the valve cases. Yeah. So we have seen these particular things.
Is that it?
Yeah. It's microphonic, dude.
That is totally it. Yeah. So we've seen these things short out to those caps. So when you look at these big, beautiful chrome caps on the side of your motor,
because these have a weighted, the weighted ignition advance is going to get closer to that cap.
I have seen these motorcycles short to that chrome cover.
Usually they're actually painted on the inside.
And that's the trick. So if you have that problem, it will not harm your motorcycle to take the chrome cover off the points cover, to remove it.
Because on
take your bike for a ride with that cover off.
Yeah.
Put it in the exact same situation where your bike was losing power before. Ride the piss out of it. If it's still losing energy, because this costs you nothing, it takes no time.
Right.
Your motorcycle's the way it is right now. You undo 2 Phillips head screws, you take that chrome cover off, and now take it for a ride. If you are not losing power, we have seen this only running on one cylinder thing manifest itself, because instead of firing at 180, it's now firing at 1, right? And the short to that cover, because the cover, of course, is ground.
Yeah.
John's right. They come painted from the factory with a rubberized paint on the backside. And if that rubberized paint goes away or whatever, then it becomes a conductor again. It shorts out.
Because on most, BMWs and Gootsies, older BMWs and older Moto Gootsies, when you use the Dyna 3, you're supposed to pin the timing advance.
Correct.
If they don't do that on the Honda, I could see that being an issue.
Here's the thing, though. I'm pretty sure that that's a dual outlet coil.
It is.
And it's firing at 360 degrees.
Well,
so
it should be parking every single time.
Yeah, it should be a total loss.
So that's what, because I know with my CB160, I replaced the coil.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. It still was doing the same thing.
You're firing every stroke.
Because it was firing both cylinders every stroke.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's getting the spark every single hit. It's just the location of the piston that makes the difference.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm leaning.
I didn't think my problem with sparkulators. It seemed like it was fuel somehow.
Right. And I think he's running either. Remember that if he's running a factory petcock, the factory petcock has a sediment bowl.
Yep.
And so he could be having a problem keeping that full, or he could be having a problem keeping these, because these are the Mikuni round slide carbs.
Yep.
And it could be it could be having a problem keeping the bowls full on.
Also, to your point with the little bowl on it, if that gasket is broken, which they happen if it's ever been open and closed.
Yeah, the 4-hole gaskets.
Yeah, those things, and that'll change the pressure and
Yeah.
I mean, I even did like a valve job. I checked my valves. I checked everything. I cleaned the carb twice. I'm like, why is this
I
fucking
lean
thing
heavy if it's over a mile at full throttle. When it starts to lose, I am leaning over fuel flow.
Me too. I'm going fuel flow on this.
Because even if it comes down to if the needles aren't, because I ran into this all the time with P-Series Vespas, where the Vuitton tip likes to swell.
That's not, and again, that's everything.
Oh, that's everything. If that rubber tip swells, it changes the flow, and if it changes the flow to the point where it does not get all the gas in all the time, suddenly you have a draining issue where over a mile, your volume is not as high as it was, so now you're suddenly in a draining issue.
We had a mechanic who measured the float height.
Yeah.
He made contraptions to measure the float height perfectly, accurately all the time. And I remember him beating his head against the wall because the bike would still go out. And in a short test ride around the shop, it was beautiful. It was great. Customer gets on the bike, hauls ass, gets about 7 miles from our shop, and now it's starving the float bowls.
Yep.
And I went back and I pulled the float bowl off, and I just unceremoniously grabbed the clip on the needle on the float and just bent the shit out of it so that it had 2 positions, 100% bottomed out and closed. That was it. And so anytime at all, there was not a perfectly full float bowl, that carb was demanding fuel. Magically, all of a sudden the bike goes out. And I think that more than any of the other postulations about why that's happening, I think it's because it is true that unless you have a metal float needle, which a lot of motorcycles do, unless you have a metal float needle, a float needle has a very short lifespan when it has that rubber tip on it.
And it's not just that.
Yeah.
Because we are one of only 2 countries that use ethanol because we're dumb as hell.
Which dries that sumbitch out or it blows it out.
It also pits the steel needles.
Yep.
And on top of that, if you do not clean the seat, the brass seat inside of the carburetor, suddenly you run into an issue where it either flows all the time or doesn't flow enough.
If you want to clean the brass seat, if your bike's not totally fuckered, you can take just a Q-tip, put some steel wool on it, and spin it.
000.
I took steel wool, put it in a drill. Whittle it to a point and just stick it in and polish the shit out of them.
000 into the seat, polish that brass right up.
Right. And you can use brass wool
Brass
and then you're not going to fuck everything else up.
But I have also had people that have worked for me that have said, hey, man, the seat's fucked. And they'll just they'll just grab a small drill bit, a naked drill bit, and they'll spin the drill bit in the seat. And I'm like, oh, don't let me see you doing that.
Horrible.
Don't let me see you do that. But it works. But it worked. They got away with it.
Early on in my life, I'm not going to lie, I messed up a 36 millimeter.
Yeah. Then the metal
W Del Ordo or Bing.
But here's the thing I wanted to bring to your attention about
the metal tips. You can they'll get a groove in them and they start sticking.
Oh yeah.
Take 400 grit and just hold it and whittle it and just keep spinning it around. You can resharpen them and reuse them.
The metal ones, I've had very good luck with metal tips on float needles. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, next question. Because we have another question.
Because we're a motorcycle.
Because hey,
the only thing that I had worried was maybe somehow when the valve gets hot, it's sticking open. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm losing compression on that cylinder.
Do you know where I went with this? And this is a problem because my brain always thinks the same way. My brain went to old tired coil gets bad when it gets hot.
That is a fallback for.
But on at least the one bike, I replaced the coil and it did not make a difference in that situation.
I ran into that with that PX a couple of weeks ago, where we both were like, "Well, is it ignition or was it a carburation?" Turns out it was carburation because the guy had left everything loose.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, first of all, when a bike shows up, you're like, "Yeah, it won't go over 35." Good thing. Just check to make sure the carb's bolted on.
Yeah, I know.
Turns out.
Turns out he didn't bother
to make sure the carbs actually bolted on.
8 foot-pounds is a low amount. It is very, very like
my CB160.
Putting this cap on is 8 foot-pounds of torque.
I could pull over. I could get out. I could wind through the gears. I could take it right up to 70 mile an hour.
Yep.
Whoa! Then all of a sudden, then I would lose a cylinder.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I could barely go 45. I'd leave off of it. I'd pull over for a second, let it idle for a second.
Let the bowls
get right back on.
Right
back up to 70 mile an hour, and then fucking, and then it would drop right back out.
You need a high flow fuel tap and a high flow float bowl and a high flow carburetor and a high flow everything.
There's a bunch of things labeled BMG in the back of the shop, and I keep looking at them going,
Yep.
Winter is coming.
Winter is coming. So it sounds like I'm feeling pretty good about that. Yeah. But the reason I want to give this guy, the reason I want to give him our attention is, remember back on April 1st, April Fool's Day.
I bet, you know what? I like what you said. Bend the tang.
Yeah.
Take your tang and adjust your tang a little bit and give it.
I mean,
it should get better. Well, if anything, it'll pull the needle out of the seat a little further and just let more flow.
Just to the point of overflowing the carburetor.
You didn't hear that from me.
It doesn't even matter. Even if it's overflowing the carburetor, you could do it for a while, even if it's spewing gas, and see if that fixed the problem.
I'm going to tell you,
and then back it off. As long as it'll sit there and gas doesn't run out on the ground, you're fine.
As long as you don't burst into flames like Ghost Rider.
The other thing is also, I think those float balls are the type where when you undo the drain plug, it's not a plug, it's a needle.
It's a needle.
And so it'll come out the drain, out the bottom. Well, if you put a clear tube on that, hold it up beside the carburetor and undo that, that'll show you exactly where your height is. And they also, the other thing is, like for CB750s, they sell a barbed one. So you could take the plug out, you put this in with a barbed fitting on it, and you can sit there and look and see, just let it fill up, and you can see what the fuel height is. It should be 2 millimeters above, below the top of the float bowl.
Absolutely, yeah. No, this is another.
That's a very good tip.
Yeah, no, this is.
In fact, that's a good enough tip that I'm going to go ahead and pull up that image because I like that. I like that so much. I'm going to do that.
And then if you absolutely have to, then too. You could put the carbs on a bench or on the bike, leave the screws out, just hold the float bowl up there. And then if you want, then you just let the float bowl down a little bit.
Yeah, there you go.
Then a little bit more until it actually comes out.
This is exactly, this is visible on everybody, right?
Hold on, it's about to be.
Okay.
So let me put it on the other screen. Because that is a very cool.
Yeah, well, no, that's how you test float height.
Yeah, but I mean, for the home gamer.
Yeah.
for the home gamer.
We talked about this a little bit earlier when we were in the garage.
Right. Because my technique, what I just gave was the very gross adjustment.
Yeah.
I just bend the tap, the part of the brass ligature that holds the float. that also secures the needle, you can bend that up or down to determine at what float height the needle valve opens. And usually what I'll do is I will just hold the thing in front of me and just with my fingertip pressure simulate flotation on the floats, right? We're not going to talk about sunk floats or whether or not you have a sunk float. We're going to assume it doesn't.
Yeah.
But that particular imagery of using your drain and coming off your drain nipple with a little thin piece of clear hose is a real good way to hold it and look at the seam from where your float bowl bolts onto your carburetor body.
Correct.
Use that as your baseline.
Yep.
And that idea of going a millimeter or two above it.
No, below it.
Or below it, thank you.
Well, because you're talking about an older Honda. An older Honda is going to use brass floats.
Yes, it is.
A newer Honda is going to use solid plastic
floats,
which means that everything you adjust is going to be in the needle. The older ones... This is very, very pertinent because it literally is going to control your float height.
Yep.
The other thing, I mean, just the rough eyeball thing is you take your carb, if it's a rack of 4, if it's a single carb, you take it and you hold it not horizontal, perpendicular with the float hanging down like this, like a pendulum.
Your angle and an angle.
And so if you tip it back this way, it doesn't touch the float needle. If you turn it straight up and down, it still should not be touching the float needle until you go 2 or 3 degrees.
Yep.
And then it should just touch the needle. It shouldn't be so 2 to 3 degrees. That's just using natural gravity and weight of the thing. It's the great thing about that is it doesn't necessarily take into the buoyancy, but it takes into the weight. And each float is actually has, especially the brass ones, they're a little bit different weight and everything. Yes, so you can do that's an eyeball thing, but this way is the ultimate way of finding exactly what your float level, your fuel level is.
I have personally done this so many times. This is what you do when you can't figure it out. It's a good way to do it.
I like that a lot.
And you know what the funny part is? Last week's podcast.
It's free.
Last week's podcast was all about us talking about alcohol.
Correct.
This week's podcast is actually talking about motorcycles.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's been like.
Well, 1 week we're an alcohol podcast. Next week we're a motorcycle podcast.
Hence the reason I asked for tech tip questions.
Right.
All right. So that's pretty good. Back on April 1, he said, I sent this on the bad phone, but I remembered you guys saying you don't keep up with that anymore. It's not entirely true, but anyway. Hey guys, I have another problem, but this is what he started with. He started back in April 1st. He said, if I get the SL350 to warm up and then I take it out to 45 or 50 and give it a bunch of revs, it runs fine until I slow down for a stop sign. He was having a problem when he got off the throttle, when he settled the bike down. Then he said he could keep it alive by revving it, keeping it from stalling, right? And that was when he said, I know the boots between the carbs and the cylinder head leak a little bit. Yeah, they leak a lot. So congratulations. You're right. Old rubber dried out boots leak like a motherfucker.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're going to drive yourself mad trying to chase an air leak. All right.
Sometimes you can squirt them with some carb cleaner and it'll make a difference. If it makes a difference in how it runs, you know you have an air leak.
That's our trick has always been.
It's actually counterintuitive. You would think that if you blasted them with some carb cleaner, it would idle up, rev up. No, it'll actually make them stall because it sucks too much fuel.
Rich.
You're taking away that sweet, sweet burnable oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Dave Osterday. Stupid question, probably. How do I get the Patreon jokes? I'm not a fucking legend, not somebody famous, but I'm at the $10 level already. The jokes are not on the Buzzsprout, nor they're on Apple Podcast. And the show wasn't released on the Patreon app.
Anywhere.
What am I missing?
I'll be honest, Christmas is...
But today he did drop a bomb on us.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Also a bike question.
I liked it better when I told the jokes.
Also a bike question.
I will not pull up a Boudreaux and Thibodeau. I will not pull a Boudreaux and Thibodeau joke.
No more.
Okay.
Ollie and Sven.
Their boat for sale.
They're both for sale.
All right. Also bike question. Hey, whoa. You're fucking mouse on a motorcycle there.
He started it.
No kidding.
Jesus
Y'all in
Christmas.
a war here.
All right. Also a bike question. I have two.
Dude, I launched a fucking DJI drone with a firecracker on it, and John's got fucking ballistic nuclears over here. Fucking
Polaris cruise
Never
missiles.
get in a fight you can't win.
I know.
Right?
All right. I never believe in a fair fight.
Yeah. I also, here's Dave Osterday. Dave says I've got two non-running bikes because I'm smart.
Is that all?
Only two?
Noob.
You got to pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
He's at the $10 level. All right.
He's got to pump that number up too.
Yeah.
I now have 2 non-running bikes because I'm smart. I'm going to attempt to tear down one and rebuild one.
Oh God, no! Don't do that.
Well, hold on. Just, look, hey,
I know.
Tom, we're 1 sentence in.
That's true.
We have 19 sentences.
Oh God, it might be a. Yeah.
Are you going to interrupt every single one?
Absolutely.
We're never going to leave. All right. I have 2 non-running bikes because I'm smart. I'm going to attempt to tear down and rebuild one. The other is going to sit for a bit as the engine case cracked on me. Ooh. And I'm in search of a new engine, bottom end. For that bike, which is going to sit a while, I already drained the gas tank and drained the bowl at both carbs. How long can the oil sit? Should I go ahead and drain the oil? The battery's in good condition. Is keeping it on a tender good enough? Or should I just pull the battery and call it a loss? Okay.
Where
I'm
do you
picking this up.
The battery. Okay, I'll let you start.
Well, I'm just going to start it.
Yeah.
So what I'm picking up is that he owns 2 non-running bikes.
Are they the same bike?
They might be.
Or different, two different models.
You know what? Hold on. I think based on previous comments from Dave, I think he has 2 different bikes.
Yeah.
But I think he has 2 different bikes. But the intention is he's going to rebuild one of those fuckers. But the other one that he's not rebuilding, it's just going to age. It's just going to
marinate.
It's going to marinate.
Well, it's in the I'm going to get to it pile.
It's on the healing shelf.
Oh God, it's my entire garage.
I was going to say.
I'm going to get to it. I'll get to it. It's fine.
That's what every hoarder.
Dave, the only difference between you and us is the number 2.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Very good, Dave.
I'll get there.
Well, and the thing is with vintage bikes, the difference between, your garage full of running bikes and then several non-running bikes is like a week. Like sometimes
a bad week can knock you down.
Yeah, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like tomorrow I want to go on this ride. I was like, I think I'm going to take this bike. And you go and you're like, I'm not taking that bike.
Oh, no,
now that's in the non-running category.
I've made it.
The problem is there's a precarious little window there.
Yes, there is.
Between the time I get this non-running bike and have time to try to get it running before I get the next one.
Right.
Because if I get another one, then this one gets pushed off to the side and I get this one running. And then by the time
I think the translation of this
they get skipped.
Right. Well, or how about you get some bikes running and then you have to work on another one, but then while you worked on that one, the one that you got running also clammed up and now it doesn't run anymore.
That doesn't happen to me. I'm a good mechanic.
So you don't fill gas into anything?
Oh, hold on. Let me say one magic word. Ascot.
Yeah. What? I sold 2 running Ascots in my life.
And you've also said that the bikes in your current garage have been there for like 27 years, and this is the first time they're going to move.
That's correct, but they got pushed off.
They got pushed off. They got pushed back.
I've gotten 30 other bikes going. Those got lost in the shuffle.
When you go to the motorcycle co-op and you see like 20 lifts, and there are motorcycles being feverishly worked on in each of those 20 lifts. But then you see 17 feet away from those 20 lifts is the healing area where there's like 300 motorcycles that are gas tank to gas tank that no air molecules can get between them. And those are the ones that people have lovingly abandoned. And they're just like, yeah, he's paying his dues. He'll get back to that someday. Nah, probably not. So I think the deal is he's got 2 bikes. He's decided to work on one, but he doesn't really want the other one to go totally to shit.
Right. But
because
the case is
it
cracked.
may have broken cases.
That's the thing I come back to.
When you have broken cases, that bike needs another bike.
Right. No, he hits an important point.
You need to start searching whatever mic or model and then no title.
He hits
find an untitled bike, do an engine swap, and get the fuck out of there.
If this is anything that starts with, what is the rarest? Okay, if this is a CBX, I could see going, all right, look, I can't find another motor. I can't find anything, whatever. If this is a RZ350.
Very few cases were broken cases.
But if this is
are not the end of the story for that bike.
If this is any common motorcycle, if this is not a Ducati 750 Sport from 1977.
You're not looking for cases, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's the inner cases, if it's just a cover, okay, but you need a whole new motor then.
Right. You need another bike.
You're not going to take your motor, take the guts out and put them in a new set of, I mean, if it was like Vespas, A 2-stroke Vespa?
Nah,
Yeah,
fuck
sure.
that.
Maybe,
Fuck that. I'll find another motor.
So, there's this
Like,
thing.
I have questions about what motor he's trying to preserve.
I'm going to try. All right. So I'm going to try to do this in the nicest way possible. So
Oh, no, I'm not.
I'm going to take this to a thing. When I was a young man and I joined the Army, they issued me a Colt 45. It's called a Model 1911 because it was invented in 1911. And the guns that we were issued were probably World War I leftovers. And they rattled and they made strange noises. But to train us on these things, they take all the guns apart. We'd all young privates. We take them all apart and we throw all the parts into one giant barrel.
So all the private parts went into one barrel?
All the privates. Parts.
These are the jokes. We're not kidding. When you pay the Patreon $10, this is the joke right here.
32 privates, 1 cup. All right. So we would then dive into it and grab parts and have to reassemble. And the idea was to give you confidence that this gun that had many, many fathers would still be put together and work just fine. Now, to people that don't know guns, they're just like, okay, that's stupid. But to people who know about guns and motors and machines, they'll know that things are supposed to be matched.
Yeah.
Okay? That this piston fits this barrel, right? And this crank fits this engine case. They're supposed to be matched.
The Vespa clutch side is supposed to fit the Vespa flywheel side,
right.
And they have numbers that designate that they match.
And many manufacturers over the course of time have said that this case and this case are meant to be brothers for the rest of their goddamn lives.
Because typically they are line board.
Right. And if you've got the intention, the greatest intention in the world of maintaining the cases and changing all the internals, or moving all the internals from one set of motor cases into another, I predict your life is not going to go well. Now, let's turn the screw the other direction to buying an entire motorcycle with a motor that doesn't have a title and is a parts farm and has a motor that has been together since God fucking invented it in Japan or England or Germany or wherever it came from. Our phrase at the shop is, that which the factory hath put together, let no man take apart. Because once you do, raise your hand if you've ever taken a perfectly relatively recent motor with maybe 10,000 miles on it, taken the heads off, and put brand new heads and gaskets and seals per the factory fucking manual, broke the motherfucker in, and it still leaked. I have done that many fucking times. Because it turns out there's no seal like a factory seal. And there's also the problem of all the different pieces in the motor now are different ages.
The Piaggio BV
It doesn't
250.
Dude, I will give you a list of Moto Guzzis. I'll give you a list of Aprilias.
yeah.
I will give you a list of CB750s that after I took a rebuild head, I'll give you a list of General Motors Rocket 350 where I can't for the life of me get the goddamn heads to stop leaking. And do you know why it is? It's because all the pieces that went together at the factory all have the exact same number of heat cycles.
Oh, yeah.
But now when we take that set of heads off and we put a new set of heads on, then that set of heads has had 93,000 less heat cycles or whatever it is. So they're going to age and they're going to extract and contract at different rates than the previous ones. So unless you're going to be using rubber bands as your fucking base gaskets, where they're going to have a whole lot of squish and a whole lot of flex, odds are you're going to have a little leak here and there.
See, that's where you and I differ.
Yeah.
I'll tolerate some RTV.
Yep.
You have to be careful how you use it. You have to be careful how you use it.
Right.
I'll use a copper. I'll use a red. Gasket maker is
I get it.
Not a not friend of mine.
But I have had way better luck rather than having Jimmy Joe Jim Bob's GSXR 750 in the back of my shop. And Mechanic A says, yep, pull the motor out of the bike. Let's tear it down. Let's do a full motor rebuild on this thing. And let's buy these heads off of eBay or whatever and put it back together. That son of a bitch, that motor came apart 3 times. And you know what fixed it? Buying a whole nother motor on eBay.
No, the only motors I will rebuild
Yeah.
are motors you cannot readily buy for $400.
swapping a motor that is a known running motor is usually a better idea.
Yep.
That's a good point. If you go out and buy a donor bike, maybe take your carbs and slap it on that motor, start it up, get it running, make sure it's a good motor before you go through the hassle.
Yeah.
If the motor, okay, a friend of mine once told me, they said, look, if it's Japanese, they made thousands of them.
At minimum.
But if it's European, say it's a Triumph or a Ducati, they're rare as hen's teeth.
Could be.
So to take a European motor and rebuild it, I can see it.
Yeah.
To take a Japanese motor and rebuild it, are you dumb as hell?
Plus, you also maybe you bought a motorcycle that's missing a title.
Yeah.
Think all the other good shit you got.
Oh, yeah.
You might have got rotors that are better than the rotors you got now. You might have got forks that are better than the forks you got now.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with buying a $400 project bike and harvesting all kinds of cool shit off of it. John's point, though, is wicked important.
Oh, yeah.
Because don't buy the eBay parts bike special to find out that it, too, has had a head gasket failure. Because just because the guy says ran when parked, or this is a running motor, he might be relying on the fact that you're not going to get that motor into your bike for another year and a half. And are you going to chase him down a year and a half later because you find out
running when it left my shop? What are you talking about, man?
Crash bike's kind of good because you know it was running right up to the point where it hit that wall. In-palm bikes are even better because
are great.
They had to be out there riding when the cop nabbed them.
Yeah, I went to an auction not that long ago, and I rolled in, and this guy there were a number of really beautiful bikes in there. But I noticed the one bike, I walked to the back of it, and it was a relatively modern machine, like 3 or 4 years old. I was pretty attracted to it. And then I looked to the back and saw that he had smoked the rear tire to squareness. So probably in a last act of defiance against the bank, went out and ran it at the rev limiter and smoked her down. And it had all the signs and the smells of being a motor that had been cooked, even though it was only 2 or 3 years old. Couple thousand miles, but
there's a fantastic video of them trying to blow up. It was a Kawasaki, like a Z900 or 1000, their sport bike or whatever.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous what they had to do, and it never blew up.
Oh,
it melted the exhaust system off. They drained the coolant.
We just had Dean Middleton in the shop.
Yeah,
and to conjure up his name,
we were talking about the Shadow.
He brought a Shadow from his shop he was working at the time that was abandoned to a scooter rally. The idea of scooter rally.
Merritt's favorite bike.
Yeah, at the moment it was. We were going to burn a motorcycle in effigy. So at scooter rallies, sometimes people haul out a JDM bike. They'll haul out a rice burner or something, and scooter rally people will burn it or destroy it. Now we've done that.
I don't know what I would do if you tried to do
that. You and Dr. Waters.
Right.
So we show up and Dean brings this black or whatever VT500 Shadow. So he brings this VT500 Shadow out, and it's not had a good life. It's in bad fucking shape, but he did put a battery in it.
Yep.
And it did. And so Friday, everyone's kind of like, town pump, go take a ride. Now you understand, in the scooter community, some people have never ridden a motorcycle.
Yep.
And this is the perfect environment. Summit Point Racetrack has got these cart paths that are asphalt cart paths that go the whole way around the track. It's very chill. And people could jump on it and they could learn how to ride a motorcycle if they didn't ride one before. It's pretty cool. So Merritt, though, Merritt, when I met Merritt and I molded her into a motorcyclist, she had no desire to be a scooterist. She wanted to be a motorcyclist. And at all of our local scooter club runs, she was the asshole on the Honda CL360 or whatever, right? And she'd always make fun of us because she'd go faster than we would. So that's cool. She jumps on this VT500. She starts riding it around and she's like, honey, don't get attached. Don't. That bike's not going to make it through the weekend.
Yeah.
So she's riding it around, and every time somebody get a turn and they take it and they dump it, crash it in the grass, do whatever. And Dean kept telling us, hey man, tomorrow night, the bonfire, we are going to burn that sumbitch down. So the bike survives Friday night's shenanigans. We all did flaming burnouts, good shit like that, but the bike wouldn't die. So Saturday at about noon o'clock, we all going to go on this big ass ride that can't be beat. And Merritt's got a scooter to ride. And Merritt says, you know what? I'm going to ride the VT. This is a stolen motorcycle with no title, no license plates, lights don't work, mostly crashed. Merritt rides it in the ride out. And we go for hell's a half acre ride out. We go for a big ride out. Merritt is just chugging along on this VT 500. She is happy as a clam. We get back to the campsite. We have the dinner. We're having a good time. And it's getting to be that the sun's sitting mighty low, big fella. And hours are numbered for this here VT 500.
Did you give it his last little splash of gas?
Merritt had to walk away. We put the VT 500, we dug a ditch with the back tire in the fresh asphalt, so the bike didn't need a center stand. It was literally dug in. We ran the motor at maximum RPMs, full wide out throttle, everything you could do, and it wouldn't even hesitate. I'd grabbed a military hatchet and I took the cooling lines off of the bike and the oil lines off of the bike, spewing its worldly goodness of coolant and oil out into the burn pit area. And it wouldn't die. We pinned it at red hot throttle and rode it into a raging bonfire, jumping off at the last minute. And the bike sat in the fire and managed to hold something like 7,500 RPM. Way longer than it should have.
Yep.
With a gas tank, with some gas in it.
Yep.
And it wouldn't quit running. And it got a little scary because it wouldn't quit running. And people were like, well, knock it over. Don't knock it over. Let's see where this goes. I'm curious.
Now it's science.
It's in gear.
It is science.
And it is running at a very high RPM in fire. Which means it's breathing in fire.
Right.
And it's putting out hotter fire. And it wouldn't die.
Hotter fire.
And it just kept burning and it kept running. And eventually it went, and then just stopped. And I mean, it didn't go boom. It didn't go creak. It didn't go groan. It just went, and that was it. It left. The spirit of that motorcycle left. And it continued to burn. And after a little while, a giant explosion happened and knocked logs out of the fire. Distance. It was the tire. The front tire got hot enough. The back tire was gone. The front tire got hot enough, it exploded. And then, a short while later, another pretty good-sized boom. And we weren't sure. And I'm pretty sure that was the battery. I think the battery went off. The battery went off. The gas tank never exploded. It just gas just dripped out of the fuel line and just kept feeding the fire. By about 3 o'clock in the morning,
it was cleansing itself.
It was.
Yep.
It was being cleansed by fire. By about 3 o'clock in the morning, there was a puddle of aluminium, bright, shiny aluminum in the bottom of the fire that had the most beautiful V-twin crank sticking up, because all the iron parts, all the hard metal parts, the transmission of the crank, they just settled into the pool of aluminum. The art factor was off the charts. It was beautiful. The fire cooled down the next day, and they pulled this thing out where the aluminum had settled into the dirt and stuff. The backside aluminum was all ruddy and nasty. The top side of it was shiny and bright and beautiful looking, and it had all the hardened steel parts, all the springs, all the clutch components. They were all right where they should be, but everything that wasn't steel melted. It was fucking beautiful, man. It was beautiful. It was art. Merritt,
it's fucking beautiful, man.
Merritt will
beautiful.
never, ever be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
She felt like that motorcycle had a soul.
Fist bump, Merritt.
Yeah, right? For real. She was pissed. She's like, that bike was fine. But here the problem was, that bike became detached from its owner. That bike became detached from the person who loved it. Back to Dave Osterday's question. Battery, yeah, keep it on a tender. Absolutely. Any battery off a tender is living a short life.
I think yoink it and throw it in the basement. Bring it inside out of the cold.
Get it out of the cold.
I don't know where you live.
Yeah, but battery tender is always a good idea. Can't kill you, right? Not the worst thing ever. The other thing, though, oil. The oil that's in the bike. Don't sweat it.
Yeah.
Don't sweat it. The oil's fine. Now, if you want to be picky, You could pull all the oil out of it. That's kind of slather the motor down with kerosene on the inside if you want. Spray WD-40 into the top parts of the motor. That's cool.
It's got busted fucking. Oh, I mean,
if it's got a cracked case where the oil can get out of it,
maybe there's no oil in it to begin with.
There might not be, right? There might not be. But
well, that's the thing. If he's talking about the oil, then maybe it is just the side of the case.
But if you really are concerned and you want to artisanally craft it, you want to keep this motor, right? You want to preserve this motor, I'm going to tell you the secret. Spray the motherfucker down with WD-40 or waste oil. Just get it all good and wet in all the spots and wrap an old dilapidated beach towel around it. Put it in a garbage bag. It'll last forever. It will never, ever fail for you.
The one thing I learned from the past is like everybody said, like, it's the season's starting. I got to change my oil.
Right.
And the guy was always like, well, you should do it before
You're
the
4
season.
months late.
Yeah, because you don't want the contaminants sitting there all just sliming it up.
Do it in November.
Yeah. So, but I was going to say though, if I was going to store a motor that doesn't, so it's interesting to hear him say that there's oil. What should I do with the oil? Because to me that means that the case isn't cracked; it's the cover that's cracked. Because right, because then you would be losing oil.
Right.
But I would say put new oil in the thing and store it somewhere because that way you have no contaminants, you have no gas, you have nothing in it that's going to cause you issues.
If you're going to store a motor for 1 year, you might be like me, and 1 year might turn into 12. Mm-hmm. Motors that I thought, bikes that I thought, this is next year's project, have been sitting in my garage for 12 years. That happens. Life gets in the way, or you buy more motorcycles. I'm going to rescue that. That bike is being neglected by that asshole. I'm going to buy it and let it be neglected by this asshole. Okay, Graham Smith. You might remember Graham. Sup, gents? Since we last met, I was that Canadian on the clapped out 1981 Honda CB650. Do you remember the CB650 that thought for a second it was going to be a Sportster? There was a CB650 custom.
Oh, yeah.
And this fella, okay.
I did a head gasket on one of those.
So,
why?
The only CB650
somebody was willing to pay me.
Cruiser. All right.
Why?
Well,
because I'm a good mechanic.
Doubters be warned.
All right.
Scoff if you must.
Scoff.
Since we last met, I was that Canadian on the clapped out 1981 CB650 this time last year. He was riding cross country.
Right.
So again, glass houses. He rode that motorcycle cross country. CB650 must be a pretty good motorcycle.
After I redid the thing and cleaned the carbs.
It's a Dohawk. Yeah.
It ran really good. It ripped.
It's a Dohawk. Yeah. So anyway, you piss with the dick you got, not the dick you want.
It says Honda, and you bought it off Craigslist for $500. Right. Of course, you're going to ride it across country.
I've moved on from my career as an auto mechanic and moved into the power sports industry. In January, I started at a ClevelandMoto Kawasaki dealership. Lots has happened since then, including nearly all of the staff quitting. Whoa. So it's just me handling the shop and all the repairs now. No complaints from me. A few times a week, I come to work and think, this is the way to become the next John McElfresh.
You're on your road. You're definitely on your way.
You're going to need a set of wings and some bourbon.
Yes, you're on your way.
The farce is strong in this one. And that keeps my spirits up among the waves of warranty engine case center gasket jobs.
That is
Thanks for always being the voices in the back of my head. I'll send more money when I have some.
It's fair. Look, if you're getting warranty repair money,
and he says,
just hang on to
water-cooled Superhawk for the win. And he's the guy who said we should do the water-cooled Superhawk. Right? So the CB1 motor.
Yes.
All right. So anyway, I just want to read you one short part of his, because now we've heard the whole thing.
Right.
I'm going to read you what I consider to be the Phil Waters virtual highlighted portion of it. In January, I started working at a ClevelandMoto /Kawasaki dealership. Lots has happened since then, including nearly all the staff quitting. So it's just me handling the shop and all the repairs now. No complaints from me. A few times a week I come to work and think, this is the way to become the next John McElfresh. And that keeps my spirits up among the waves of warranty engine case center gasket jobs. Doing one of them is like, you know what? They told me there'd be good days and there'd be bad days. Today's a bad day. When it's waves of them, and Tom, I know you're going to talk some shit now on CF Moto, and I'm going to get in front of you, and say, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm not going to.
Don't do it.
You're about to become
Don't do it.
No.
Don't do it.
No, you know what? We talked about this earlier. We did, because the Limoncello 150.
Yes.
You told me
we have that QJ scooter that you guys all rode.
Yeah.
That QJ scooter in the beautiful lemon chiffon color.
Yeah.
I've ridden it on the freeway now so much. The bike only knows 70 miles an hour.
I've got 2 words for this young aspiring mechanic. City job.
And that's why I don't have McElfresh working at my shop anymore. And that's why I don't have Sparky working at my shop anymore.
John's out there at the shit plant, and he's like, man, we're a little short-handed today. Only 4 guys to watch me do my work.
City workers are like Civil War cannons.
Yeah.
They don't work, and you can't fire them.
No, he is not wrong in that. Were I not in the living situation that I was in, I get it.
Do you know why I love working on my motorcycle? Because I have another job that I don't have to work on motorcycles. When you work on motorcycles for a living, the last thing when you want to go home that you want to do is work on your motorcycle.
I just like that.
I remember thinking, man, I wish I could pay me the same amount that I get to work on my bikes, because I would hire me, but there's nobody that I can hire that is me.
Oh, God,
I won't hire myself to work on my own bikes.
Oh, God,
because I'm not going to pay that much.
I'm never fixing my bikes again.
I would pay. No, I'm like, I would pay that much, but I don't want to.
Tom's like $120 for Phil or $0 for me.
Yeah, no, I look at my garage and I'm like, why would I fix this? But like this poor guy, and I'm thinking about this because we talked about QJ Motors.
QJ,
which is not too far off the rail from CF.
Tom, if you told me that you could tell the difference right now between a CF Moto and a QJ Moto engine, if I brought them in here and set them down, I would call you a fucking dog-faced monkey boy.
Or a Kawasaki.
Because I thank you. And or a Kawasaki. Maybe even a KTM.
But it's not going to be the Kawasaki motor that has the center case gasket.
Bullshit. I call bullshit. Because every CBR had a failed crank.
Yeah, I'm going to say, if all those CBRs had failed cranks,
well, that's the Honda.
Well, I'm just saying.
Oh, so you're not telling me that Kawasaki's better built than Honda? Because Honda's number 2 in reliability behind Yamaha.
I actually believe the CBR is better than the Kawasaki.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
but
CF Moto be damned, he might be replacing head gaskets.
It could be
in little Kawasaki's.
What is it? EX300 or 400?
Who fucking knows?
3 or 4 Ninja 400 or 300.
All I know is there is no motorcycle company out there that is beyond sin.
That's true.
BMW's fucked up.
Everybody now, yeah.
Everybody has fucked up.
Absolutely.
Everybody. If you have a KTM 390 and your head gasket hasn't been changed, you haven't been riding your bike hard enough.
God, the
right?
Baby Dukes are such great bikes. So they let down by the crank.
So now we have this thing. Here's the one thing that I will tell you about his rant that is absolutely on point. You're never going to find a day when you show up at work and somebody says, well, I'm so glad you didn't quit. Because there's now another 3 recall head gaskets that need to be done. That is not a good day. That is a bad day. And I have friends who are Honda mechanics that said every time they saw another 4 Gold Wings come into the shop that all needed recall work, that they knew that all the other fun work that they might like to do was getting pushed further back. And that when they had to do cranks and Honda CBR motors, They knew that all the fun work they like to do, or diversity work that's going to keep them from going crazy, was getting pushed back. When you turn a mechanic who needs to have diversity in his life into the worst assembled robot at the Honda factory, right? Because that's what you are.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a mechanic in my shop, you are in the shadow of the robots that built those motors, right? You're doing it worse than they ever did.
So Phil,
Yeah.
I was talking to Becky about this the other day.
Yeah.
I said in the same week that I was doing like your average service work on like your Vespa 300, your Liberty, everything else.
Yeah.
I said I was rebuilding a P200E motor.
Right.
On one end of the spectrum.
Absolutely. Yep.
And replacing a battery control module on a Zero.
Yes.
I said, you cannot get.
You're covering 60 years of technology.
Exactly. You cannot get.
On
the
bench number
diversity.
on bench number 1, you're doing something designed in the Farties.
Exactly.
And on bench number 2, you're doing literally a nuclear battleship.
And that is literally that's because you cannot tell somebody you're gonna work on something that was chiseled out
there
of
should be
aluminum
a
after
thunderstorm of technology happening between those 4 benches.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting in the back just going, listen to my music, bopping along, just battery module on this end. And
People don't understand this when somebody says like, oh, they've got ADHD and they can't stay on target. Being a motorcycle mechanic is a pretty goddamn good job.
Yeah.
Because today you're working on a weed whacker powered 3-wheeler. Senior citizen strike.
Aerial 3.
Pretty much.
I mean, which was a fun. I wish I'd have kept that bike.
No,
it was great.
Tom,
I loved my horrible bike.
This was a senior citizen's bicycle.
Oh, yeah.
That somebody had grafted a weed whacker motor onto.
Yeah, been there.
That because it was snowing outside, John got to work on.
Oh.
Because I looked at the person and I analyzed that his money was green. And John was...
I made it rip.
Yeah, he did make it rip.
Yeah.
Dude, we rode it in the snow.
I have worked on... I've told you about the Crew of the Rolling Elvi, right?
Yeah.
I've told you about these. I mean, he's your the Legerette's koozie you had earlier. The Crew of the Rolling Elvi, they all ride the GoPed knockoffs.
Fake GoPeds.
Yeah. And they're all dressed as Elvis.
I promise you,
I get this.
When it's 21 degrees out, and the shop is still open, despite all of Cleveland being closed due to a snow emergency, and we're open because we would just rather be there.
Yeah,
I'd rather be with my friends, wrench it on a weird old bike, than be sitting in my house watching the snow pile up. Just cranking on old machines is fun, man.
We're gonna make hot toddies.
I don't think
we're gonna hang out. We're gonna fix shit. It's fine.
When
I never believed in winter time is slow down.
No.
In the winter times just
Phil,
different stuff. I mean,
change the channel.
You have plenty of stuff to work on. You can work all the way through the winter. If you're a mechanic, it might be a slowdown for the front of the house or something. But
anybody that's ever said like, yeah, man, I'll bet you it gets slow in the wintertime. You've never worked at my shop.
Nope.
Because I promise you, everything that I have got lined up to be done this winter will not get done.
If it gets
will not get done.
Slow enough for me to get the Zundap running, things have failed.
I predict that both of those Moto Guzzi's won't get finished. Shot across the bow. Shot across the bow. But the point being,
I will fix
for
the
people
red
who
one.
don't. You better fix both of them.
Well,
for people who don't work in a shop, when you think about,
isn't this about the time of year where you start rolling up your sleeves and going back there?
Always,
digging into some of those things that have been sitting around for a long time, and
my favorite
whipping them into shape,
or doing my favorite move is I bring them. I have a lift in the front of the shop.
He does.
So I have the lift in the front of the shop, and I can just sit there and work in the front of the shop, take the phone calls, do the things I got to do, but then just put hours. I've got 4 motorcycles in the front of the shop. I've got a Harley Davidson Springer that I've got a laundry list of items that need to be taken care of.
Club style.
Fuck you. That is so not gonna Sleepy club style. That is so not gonna, this is gonna be the opposite of club style.
It's almost
Mickey
there
Mouse
now.
Club style.
Yeah.
Oh, it is right now. It is 1994 Disco Queen of Montana style. This thing is just flame mirrors, right? This is fucking awful.
It's got flames everywhere.
It does have flames everywhere. It's just resplendent with flames. I got a bunch of bikes I got to work on.
The guy who had that before you.
Yeah.
The reason he doesn't have it anymore is because big dog choppers exist.
Yes,
he was like, that's what I was looking for.
Why don't you have some child labor? Like, maybe you can get like an Indian exchange student or something.
That's a good idea.
You know,
Like,
that's a very good
come
idea.
to America.
Honestly, what do you think? 14 years old?
That's a little too old.
I think 14
They
is probably
eat a lot.
about right.
And their hands are too big.
tiny hands are too big.
Hey, does India have a Tucker Rocky or anything?
India?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was thinking,
dude, they're just India.
Let's be honest. Probably a 12-year-old Indian kid is a better mechanic than Tom or I.
Well, they probably have been working already for 9 years.
See what I'm saying?
They probably have already rebuilt 200 Royal Enfields.
Right.
My question was, I wanted to start a side business importing those 4-foot-long foot rails. You know, the foot pegs, so I could have like 7 of my friends.
Or you bring in a
join
kid
me.
from Taiwan. He can like assemble a 125 motor in his sleep. He can lace up wheels like nobody's business.
If I can find
put a seat cover on. Like,
if you can find the kid that actually welds the frames,
If we could liberate a 14-year-old from the sim factory,
Right.
He's already got 9 years of
oh
experience.
god, yeah.
Yeah.
He ceramic
smokes
coating.
a pack a
He
day.
smokes
He knows ceramic coating pistons, like
Right,
the fucking
kidding.
no big deal.
Oh god.
I started this, and I will be the first to say this is making fun of something that's very serious.
It is.
And
What,
let's just
child
say that
Yeah.
we definitely absolutely denounce child labor in the world.
Yeah. I mean,
You know, it's funny.
Even
Yes-
though we were the victims of it
I was gonna
ourselves
say.
as being Generation
No.
X.
My
no.
dad dropped the transmission out of a 39 Buick onto my chest when I was 7. And when I was crying, he said, "Don't move. I need to drop the gears in from the top."
Yeah.
But I was on a creeper.
My childhood was doing body work.
Yeah.
I did body work before
But
I
was
was 10.
Despite that, I mean, there
Yeah.
are actually some
Oh,
children
yeah, no,
who
this is
generally
this is
are
an issue.
damn near worked to
The-
death
the-
at that age, and it's sad.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's true. When we talk about
What is it?
people, these assholes that just got arrested for human trafficking.
Yeah. What? Hyundai?
Despicable.
No, here.
Hyundai.
No, here.
Oh, not the guys in Hyundai that were doing the metal work.
No, here.
Okay.
In this town,
Okay.
people who have jobs
Chevrolet?
in education
General Motors.
got arrested for human trafficking.
We're doing the same thing Hyundai was doing in Alabama. South Carolina?
I think if we listen to Phil,
Yeah.
we'll find out.
I'm also
Yeah.
talking about the 13-year-olds who were doing metal work for Hyundai.
No,
Like Tom's like, okay, I don't know the answer, but I have 1,212 guesses, so I'm going to start with
We're gonna
those.
go with
No,
that.
no, it's just
Keep
going to be
going down.
Hyundai.
So a teacher here in our city, and a school that. Yeah,
This was a very poignant moment. You just screwed it up.
we've had.
Did he?
I've always one of those people who's just like, I see the billboards that's like, in case you weren't sure, this is what human trafficking looks
We're
like.
not laughing about human trafficking. We're joking because Johnny Mac just gasped.
No, that's chemical warfare. The Geneva Convention outlawed that years ago.
Just breathe deep and close your eyes.
I'm drinking bourbon and I'm not breathing anything.
Breathe deep.
You chose the
Close
seat
your
next
eyes.
to him. You knew this was going to happen.
Just let it
That
happen.
doesn't even smell. Come
Let
on,
it
that's
happen.
just fucking air. Don't be
It's
a
just air that's been inside his colon.
don't be a twat.
Dude, you need to go to a doctor. There's something wrong with you.
He doesn't
man.
chew his food. Yeah.
So, but at any rate, we got
I don't,
educators.
I don't
who
know
are
if cancer
child
has a
trafficking.
smell, but I think that's it, dude. Like, you got to fucking fix
gotta go
that
see an
thing.
oncologist?
Yeah, dude. There's something wrong there, man.
Well, it bothered me because I'm this asshole white guy that lives in Cleveland, and I drive around and see billboards that talk about, like, child trafficking, human trafficking happens here too, and I'm like, I don't think so.
Right.
Right? I mean, I don't think so. I don't.
Well,
I
that
don't
was one of the saddest
that
things.
seems to me to be like a third world thing.
They had like a big roundup, and they went and they found like all these children and stuff that had been trafficked.
Yeah.
But the horrible, sad thing about it was, a lot of them were like, "Well, we don't want to go back home. It was worse
Yes.
in the home."
So
of
the
our
other
parents."
day, I'm sitting at the palatial Waters World, and we're doing our thing, and the knock on the door. You know that never happens anymore. And I go up, and there's this young fella outside my door with a hastily made name badge and a magazine, a thing. And he says, "Hey, would you like to order some of these products online for charity?" And products out of this catalog for charity. And I was like, for what charity? Oh, it's for kids. And he was grossly underprepared. And then I realized, shit, this is human trafficking. This kid's 12, right? This kid's 12. And he's collecting money, cash money, for a product or service that may or may not ever arrive. He's not from the local marching band. He's not from the local church, because I've done that. I've sold thousands of dollars worth of band candy. This was not band candy. This was a picture in a beat up piece of paper about a tub of popcorn I probably am never going to get. He wasn't with the Boy Scouts. It was basically a Finger Hut catalog. And he was saying, would you like to buy something out of here? And he writes you write your name and stuff down and give him 20 or 30 or 40 bucks.
They also, are you sure he wasn't one of those AmeriCorps kids? Where it was like they're like kids who got in some trouble or were having a hard time. And so they send them out.
I think he's getting there.
So he had a badge on. And the badge was this kind of poorly made, badge. And I said, what's your name? And he goes, Thomas. And I said, Thomas. I was like, you got a guy that drives you around in a van, right? The guy drives you around in the van, drops you off, and you go hit a couple of streets, and then you come back and you give your money that you get from you give to the guy in the van. Yeah. And so how much of that money does he give you? Well, he doesn't give me any of that money. I'm like, okay, so you're giving the money to the guy in the van, but he's not giving you any of that money. No. But what do you get? Well, if I get top salesman, I can get a bicycle. Okay, Thomas. And what else? Oh, he buys us lunch at McDonald's. Cool. And where's your mom? Oh, she's at home. Okay. Where's your dad? Is your dad there? No, we see him occasionally. Okay, fine, Thomas. That's great. Thomas, can you have the guy? I'm very interested in your product. Don't get me wrong. But I think I may want to make a bigger purchase. So if you can have the guy with the van come over here, I think we're going to do something great. And he says, oh, cool. Because he's 12 years old. And I said, so go get the guy with the van and tell him to come down to my house. He's got the little car in the front with a giant 12-foot tall skeleton and all little family skeletons around him because it's Halloween and I do that. And so Thomas and Merrick goes, what are you going to do? And I said, oh, I'm in. Because part of my life was selling shit door to door as a child and even as an adult. I sold steaks out of the back of a Nissan, right? I'm that guy. I sold Anchors Away frozen food products out of the back of the van to people who had no idea what I was up to. I know a hustle. That kid is being hustled. That kid is lucky to get McDonald's. And his mom's just thrilled that the kid's not in the house right now. She's out. The kid's out. And if that kid gets $10 in his pocket at the end of the day, that kid feels like a rock star. But that kid has put in a solid 8 hours of work, maybe. Going door to door to door to door to get cash, and more cash. He ain't from the Boy Scouts. He ain't from the local marching band. This is human trafficking. It's not a violation of child labor laws. That child is being used. Now, it's not in the way that your brain thinks about human trafficking. Human trafficking doesn't necessarily look like I'm going to give you a container of children and you're going to give me a gold doubloon. That's not what human trafficking necessarily is. It was on my street. And I looked down the street and there were 4 or 5 of these kids. And you know what? The guy with the van never showed up in my driveway, despite being promised the biggest order he'd see that day. Because that guy has been through the system. But these juveniles are immune to the system. Be careful of that shit. We joke about it here today. And if I owned a 14-year-old child, I'd probably have him doing some hard-ass labor around my house, just like I did when I was a kid. But I wouldn't be farming him out to the neighbors for $20 an hour or $10 an hour and getting the money from his labor to support my household, even though a lot of my newspaper money went into my family's coffer and kept my dad from necessarily having to go and work so hard.
My older brother trafficked me to do his paper route.
And I trafficked Jeff and Nicole like a son of a bitch. When Jeff and Nicole would help me on the paper route, I'm going to tell you, I learned all my managerial skills.
I was 10, and he made me go collect.
Oh, I had Jeff and Nicole running papers when they were 6.
Then he blamed me for the lost money.
No fucking way.
Fuck yeah.
No way.
Whatever.
He'd blame you?
Yeah, I'd go get the money.
You literally collected. And he'd call you for being short?
And then he'd be like, I don't know. John went and got the money. And I'd be like, I gave it
Are
to
you
him.
kidding?
Big like, no, he never.
No, that's bullshit.
He was late.
Wait.
good.
Ready for it?
It got him ready for politics, though.
No way.
No way. So is anybody excited, and I mean genuinely excited, about Kawasaki's new electric motorcycle?
No.
No. Fuck no.
The Misfits
I'm
are.
excited. I'm totally excited.
No.
I want one. I like it more than an Abbey.
No. No way.
No. John? Yeah.
Doesn't it get like...
I'd like a 14 or 12 horsepower motorcycle.
Doesn't it get like...
That will only go 55 miles.
Doesn't
an
it have
hour.
like 30 miles of range?
I think it only goes 60 something when you hit the turbo boost, right?
Yeah. But for 15 seconds or it melts down.
But it's like nine. Yeah, but it's like nine. It's like $9,000 for like.
And it's only $7,300.
Is that all?
73.
Meanwhile, the Suron fucking whatever that
I
costs
know, right?
$3,000 gets like 75 miles to a charge.
No, let's not even talk about that. You guys all participated, well, except for Tom.
Well.
You guys participated in the electric scooter shootout.
Right.
And we all rode that angry ass orange scooter. And that angry orange scooter launched like it was a fucking on an aircraft carrier deck.
Yep.
And it would go 60 plus as long as you wanted to
if
hold
you were
it that
at
way.
Kawasaki and you offered this up, would you not be embarrassed for yourself?
I'm embarrassed that it is motorcycle shaped.
They put the word ninja on it too.
Right.
That is the
Thank you.
well,
Thank you.
The EX250 was called a Ninja for
No,
ages.
no.
And that's 1,000 times better than
I
that.
know. That's the funniest part.
As bad, like we used to joke about, like, calling the 250
Right.
Ninja.
The 250
You're like, it's a
Ninja.
Japanese kid with a slingshot.
Right.
He's not really a ninja.
But like for
Right.
the fact that this thing has no horsepower, no horsepower, and no range.
No.
And you're gonna offer it for
No.
$8,000. You should be fired if you're a
don't get
Kawasaki and you thought this was a good idea.
I don't get it.
It's hot swappable though. You take your Kawasaki 30-volt battery out of your yard implements.
You put D cells in that motherfucker. It's not gonna make it better.
2 battery packs.
It has a Ryobi green stripe down the side.
I know,
So
right?
you can put Ryobi batteries in it.
You know what? That would make it
Is
worth
this-
$8,000 if you could put like 6
this-
Ryobis. down
Wait,
the
I
side
have
of it.
I have a thought on this.
Yes.
What?
Is this just Kawasaki meeting something set by a government somewhere saying that you must have an electric motorcycle by a certain date?
California standards, maybe, but even California doesn't mandate failure.
Hey, guys. There's a part where I like to read the features and benefits of a particular vehicle. Here we go.
All right, let's go.
Number 1, no clutch operation. Oh, so stupid people can ride it. Check. 2, numerous charging options. That's right, folks.
All right, cool.
There are at least 7 outlets in this room right here. We have numerous charging options.
No, half that many because
Okay, we have 3.5 charge outlets. We have numerous
problem this
charging options. TFT full color instrumentation with smartphone connectivity.
that is basically the Sprint.
It doesn't matter. It's the same thing every kid's Power Wheels car has now.
I know. Well, yeah.
Anything with a screen on it.
The Vespa
right?
Sprint has this.
It is cheaper now to put a Chinese
Android,
fake
yeah.
Android screen in something than an actual mechanical analog.
You can
gauge.
get a full radio like by Pioneer for $79 now with a fucking 2-din
Right.
LCD screen on
Right.
the front of it.
Yeah.
That'll
But also-
Bluetooth to anything.
Right. Exactly. And it has a convenient storage box where you can put your pride because
Where your gas tank used to
where
be.
your gas tank
Right.
used to be.
It's the front.
Look. Number 1, we are all in on all.
Look at it.
Hey.
It sounds like a duck.
No, that was.
Do you have a spiral penis with
I
barbs
do
on
have
it?
a spiral penis. No.
All right, guys, because
True
I
facts about the duck.
like reading copy. Kawasaki's first full-size EV motorcycle, now that's a mistake, is here and ready to take the streets by storm. The all-new 2024 Ninja E1 ABS delivers thrills with clean EV power and quiet operation. This all-new EV sport bike is powered by a rider-friendly electric motor with rider-selectable power modes. In that one paragraph, I've got like 9 problems. First, full size.
Nope.
You should have made it smaller. This should be a child's toy. For the amount of power that you put out, it should be the size of a Benelli TNT 135. Because if it was the size of a Grom, right, or it was the size of a Z125 Pro, you could be okay with like 40 mile an hour top speed. If it was more Grom sized, you wouldn't be as offended by it pretending to be a Ninja. Right.
It should have came with pedals.
So as tough as we're being on this, because
yes.
How does it, price wise, what is the cheapest zero?
10 grand.
Right.
It goes 88 miles per hour.
Yeah.
It has a 100 mile range.
Yeah. And this piece of crap is
a couple of grand lower.
Right.
And can't do any of those things.
Right. So why in the hell would you buy this fucking thing?
And next question. The all new Ninja E1 ABS. Do you need ABS on this?
No. But I think it's a mandate for.
I think you're right too.
It is mandated.
I think you're right too. Okay.
That's the funny part. They're still using it as a feature.
Okay.
Still, hey, ABS.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh my God.
You're like, you can't sell a bike without ABS. You
stop
fuck
from
nozzle.
45 miles an hour without skidding.
Right.
You've taken away my ability to be a very good motorcycle rider. Okay.
You're like, now with handlebars.
Right.
Wow.
All right. How about this? This all new EV sport bike.
No.
Sport bike.
It's not sport bike.
For it to be a sport bike, it must participate in sports.
Right.
The only sport this participates in is German fucking pee-pee porn.
I think the Ninja 250 can literally go 100 miles an hour.
It's 80.
So it makes it downhill. Whatever.
You can race Ninja 250s.
Yeah.
There's a whole class for it.
Oh, yeah.
Show up at that race on this.
Yeah.
You can't even make it through the pits.
And we all like electric bikes.
I do not like electric bikes.
Exactly.
I would like to form.
Have you not ridden one?
Yeah, I have, and they suck.
Right. No, what sucks?
The electric bike. Oh, yes. Okay. No, I'll say the good things about it. I like no noise, no heat, no. But honestly, I'd never buy one. They're just, to me, it's snake oil. It's not even close to being viable.
It is a sensory
I'm a
deprivation.
bang for the buck kind of guy. And that is no bang for no buck.
This is especially no bang.
It's no bang for all the bucks.
Right.
You get all the bucks in the world, you get no bangs.
Like this is actually like, okay, now I question you.
I have always used the term sensory deprivation, right?
You give me, you make this bike for $5,000.
Yeah.
You give it a 100 mile an hour top speed.
Yeah.
A 200, I'll just take a 100 mile range at 65.
Right.
And whenever my batteries go dead, I pull over to a gas station or a charging station. I push a button or I do whatever mechanism, and instantly my dead batteries come out, new batteries go in, and I can take off again. Then you'll have me.
Nope, I got this figured out. You know who this is for?
Yeah.
This is for the 20-something kid that just got his first real job, lives in a fucking city, and probably maybe somewhere warm, because we're always thinking like Ohio people, right? And they're like kids these days. When I talk to my 21-year-old daughter and stuff, she doesn't think about how much things cost. She thinks about how much a month they are.
Yes, exactly.
So if this is like an electric thing and they feature some kind of shit where it's $180 a month, hey, do you never want to buy gas again and ride to your job every single day that's less than 40 miles away?
Right.
On your electric bike, plug it in when you get to work and have a thing to get home. And you never, that's what this is.
So if you live in Charleston, South Carolina, we have a bike for you.
Right, exactly.
Because that is literally the only place you could probably
You'll never know.
Just buy a $2,000 electric bicycle and you'd be better off.
But I guess my statement is in line with your statement that I deal with a lot of companies that want me to put $91 a month on my price tags. And they don't ever want me to tell the people that the bike is $8,600 because the potential buyer has never seen $8,600 in the same place in their life.
Right.
They've still, to their life, however long they've been alive, they've never accumulated $8,600 in the bank at one time. So, but they do understand the concept of $93 a month because that's a little less than their cell phone bill or something like that.
This is the iPhone thing.
Yeah. It's the concept
and iPhone and AT&T. This is their gift to humanity. This is the subscription rate.
Right. Convincing us that a life is just not an ongoing series of monthly payments.
60 or 72 months if you own up.
And shockingly, after 6 years, somebody's going to send you a letter that says, oh, by the way, you know that payment you've been making for $93 a month?
Yeah.
You don't need to make it anymore. But, if the bike lasts that long.
But that is also at the point where your batteries are dead and suddenly you have to buy $3,000 worth of batteries or buy another bike.
This is not
a viable bike. Yes, I agree.
In 20 years from now, too, that bike's junk.
Oh, 20? 20?
I'm being nice.
You are being nice.
Watch a customer bring a 2015.
Hey, what year was that? Like 200?
I'm going to do like for like on this one. Watch somebody bring a 2015 Zero into my shop and see how much love they get.
Oh, the first generation?
No.
It's not even that.
Later generation. First generation Zero, 2010, 11, 12, 13, right? The first one's the little weird DSs. The whoa, weird. But then the middle generation, pre-17, right? These bikes, they made a lot of them. Fair enough. We didn't become a Zero dealer in 2013 or 12. They tried. We didn't become a dealer in 13. They tried. We didn't become a dealer in 14 or 15. They tried. There were too many problems. We became a dealer in 17 because they had changed things, right? They'd fixed a lot of shit. But guess why we're probably not going to be a dealer in 24? Too many problems. It's gotten out of their grasp. There are problems. Your $23,000 motorcycle might not take you home this afternoon, tonight. I can't sell somebody a $5,000 Vespa if it's not going to bring them home 800 miles after they bought it, right? But I got too many people out in the world with electric vehicles that are saying, and I'm not just talking about only Zero here. I'm talking about other electric vehicles I've sold where the people are saying, hey, I'm a little angry right now because I'm on my third payment and I just turned the key and it's nothing. I get crickets.
I'm sure it's happening with Energica. I'm sure it's happening with other bikes.
It happened with them while they're in my shop, John. Right. It happened with them while I was... when I called the gentleman and said, sir, your Energica's ready to go. Come and pick your bike up. I've done the service you requested. Give me your currency. The bike is ready to rock and roll. Hand him the keys. He goes out to get on the bike that I test rode yesterday. And the bike is bricked. I don't need somebody fucking with my reputation that way. I don't need that guy leaving me a 1-star because I called him and he drove 79 miles from his house to come to pick up his bike, that he's pissed off let him down in the first place. We fixed it, told him to come and get it. He shows up, goes out, and the bike is giving him the same symptom. Key on, bike won't start. Yeah. How pissed is he? And does he think I'm breaking his balls? Does he think I didn't test ride it? Does he think I didn't do nothing to his bike? He doesn't know I was on the phone with tech support with that motherfucker for 8 hours.
My biggest beef, because after working on the EX, is that they have succeeded in overcomplicating this thing to the point that it is obsolete out of the package. It is a battery, it is a motor, it is a battery control module, and a controller's on the throttle.
It should be a Milwaukee drill.
Why? Yeah, absolutely.
It should be a Milwaukee drill. It should be.
Also, you would think that they just make everything completely modular.
Right.
So like, we're having this problem.
Absolutely.
Except for, that's great. That would be like if somebody said, your gallbladder is modular.
Right.
We can take it out. But getting there's a bit of a kerfuffle, right? And that's what it is with these things.
Yeah.
The battery management system isn't like open the gas tank, pull out the battery management card, put in a new battery management card like it is when you have a PC. You want to hot rod your PC, you want to change the video card, that's a 2-minute job, right? You want to change the battery management system card on a modern electric motorcycle, that's 4 hours out, 4 hours in.
But that's what I'm saying.
And the other thing of it is they're going to make you go through this before they'll say, okay, it's probably the card or it's probably the motor. Now that you've gone through all this bullshit to prove everything else can't be, now we'll send you a new motor. You can go ahead and change that out.
The thing is, Sleepy's not wrong.
Yeah.
It should, because you saw how long it took me too long to replace that battery management because I hadn't done it.
Tom, after you did it, you replaced the battery management board.
Here's the problem.
After you replaced the card. And Tom's like, I'm done. Yeah. I did my part.
Yeah.
The bike is still bricked. Now I can't, where I'm sitting here at the shop, I can't, with the devices I have at my power, access that battery management card, that board, tell it that it's a part of this operating system, tell it that it's today's date and today's time, because that is accessible only by the service department back at the home office in California.
And that's the problem I have.
You got to get them to call you back, get them to hijack your computer, get them to remotely activate this card they sent you. Well, they're busy. They might not call you back today.
Right.
Almost seems like you wish you could have just changed the head gasket.
Whoa!
Or the crate. Case.
But you're right. You're right, John. Every single time,
because you know that you know what the problem is, and you can fix it.
Exactly.
The biggest problem I have.
And when I call the guy to come and get it, I know it's fixed.
The Zero, and Tesla and everybody else. The problem is they are so locked down on fixing their product that you can't just hot swap. I have worked computer repair for 25 years. I have been IT support since I was in freaking high school. And the fact that I can't change a battery control module and just roll the thing out the door is abusive to me.
It is. Absolutely.
Absolutely, I know how to do this. I plug the computer in. Right. The computer talks to itself and goes, I'm fixed.
We understand that my Dodge Omni had a computer.
Oh, you're going to have to hook it up. You're going to have to download the current firmware. Absolutely. Then you're going to have to reboot it. Then you're going to have to turn it back on. Then you're going to have to ride it. Then you're going to have to do all kinds of stupid fucking shit.
Talk to the home computer to figure out how many cells
after he fixed
were
it
in the battery so that it could load balance the cells in the battery when it went back to charge.
After he fixed it, it took me an hour and a half on the phone to then bring it into service. And again,
I played that game.
That ain't cool. And computers have been in cars and motorcycles for a very, very long time. I replaced countless because my dumbass liked Dodge Omni 2.2s, right? I used to like 2.2 fuel injected cars, and I replaced many, many ECUs. I got really good at finding them in the junkyard. I got really good at putting them in. But you know what you didn't have to do? You didn't have to call the home office and get the firmware and bring it up to speed to make sure that that computer now understood the VIN of that car, and it was part of a CAN bus system, and it would identify itself as a node or an address on a network.
Before I left the radio shop, every cop car that came in, we had at least an hour of every cop car now that comes in, you have to go into the radio, update the firmware, download the thing, reboot it, test it, check it, then go into the computer, the MDT, update that, do that, then go back to the siren module, plug into that, update that, and make various changes. We had every car, no matter what it came in for, had an extra hour of updating all the firmware and software.
And just to be an ass, if I might, if something were to happen to any part of that network and it were to go away and be changed, would you have to do all that again?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's why we were doing it to every car every time it came in.
And
well, dude, take this to what, so my daughter is at the age now where, like my youngest daughter, where she's getting into Xbox a little bit, right? So I had this Xbox laying around. We haven't played it in a while. So I was like, you know what? So we moved it into the living room and stuff, and I hooked up to the good TV, and I was like, fuck, man, I haven't played Grand Theft Auto in like a while. Like, I want to bust and play this shit, right?
Right.
So it's 8 a.m. Everybody's, they're out in the other room. I'm like, fuck yeah, I have like an hour. I'm going to fuck around here.
Yeah.
So I turn on the Xbox. I'm getting ready to fuck hookers and shoot shit.
Right.
Xbox is like, hey, haven't seen you in a while. We need to update this 3.9 gigabyte file. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, fuck it. So the Xbox update. So then I tried to load fucking the game. That needs a fucking update.
Yep.
So then I wait fucking an hour. My whole hour that I was gonna play is now updating the fucking shit.
Of course.
And then I go to use my fucking the controller. Yeah. That needs a fucking update. Right. I'm like, man, I could have played.
After all the updates have downloaded, you don't have any more memory, so you can't play.
And then at that point, I didn't have time to play the game, and I'm like, you know what? If this was an Atari 2600, I could have been sick of the thing already.
Right. You'd already,
but to that credit, because I have an Xbox 360, an Xbox One, and now I'm actually looking at the new upgrade because I can't play more common games without the new one. Everything has a firmware update. And I run into this with Becky because Becky's whole job is literally computer control, firmware update, crazy nonsense.
You want the worst? How about drones? I'd have a huge gig. Right. I'd have a huge gig back when it was my main gig. Yeah. I'd be up till midnight charging things, making sure everything was cool. Because, you don't want to be there and have the client look at you like a dick. Yeah. So it's like midnight. I just power everything down, finish charging, pack it all up, and my call time's 5 a.m. I'm up at 3, in the car at 4, get there at 5, set up. Okay, we're doing a sunrise. Get your thing up. I go to fucking fly at 6:15. It's 6 hours later. Update required. Will not fly. Required. And now I'm in the middle of a fucking somewhere. Right. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no anything. No. My cell phone's on like 0.1 bar. Right. I'm getting 3K a minute. Shit. Yeah. I'm like, well, I'll be ready to go about tomorrow. Yeah.
Hey, look, man. So bring it back to motorcycles.
It kills me that Zero has tied their stuff, wrapped their stuff down so hard.
You think that's Zero, Tom? It's not Zero.
No. It is everybody.
It is not Zero.
It is everybody.
It is Niu.
Yeah.
Tom, did you have to do a firmware update on a Vespa?
I had to load balance a Niu battery the first week.
But did you have to do a firmware update on a Vespa?
Every Vespa that comes in the shop gets plugged into pads. Pads tells you whether or not there's a current ECM update, and then you have to load. Now, this is the whole thing with the piggyback battery and the battery charger and the whole nine.
Tom, prior to this, how many times have you ever updated firmware in a Vespa?
Never. Because
that wasn't a thing you could do.
I couldn't because I didn't.
Because you just replaced the fucking ECU.
I didn't have access to pads. Right. Now the reality is back to the 250 IE.
It's okay, Tom. Before you got here, I'd never updated the firmware.
And the reality
in a GTS,
which
either.
is weird because I update like every Vespa that comes in, I plug in.
No. What I'm saying is, this generation.
Oh yeah.
In case you're wondering about
it's all the way back to the ET4 even has updates. Which is weird to me.
None of this was required.
Right.
None of this was required reading at all.
Well,
up until
EFI.
Right now.
Up until
because I have a 2006 that goes 90 miles an hour, and it does not require and has not required at any point in its life a firmware update.
It's not fuel injection because my 2007 Ultima has never touched another computer.
Have we plugged it in to find out?
I'm not going to. Do you know why?
This model's been discontinued. It is now deactivated.
Or our modifications have made it worse.
Yeah, right.
And that's why it scares me. My wife's Nissan Figaro was never updated ever. It has fuel injection. It has computer and all those great things. Yet many vehicles, strangely, a lot of vehicles, that once we start going, maybe we should update the firmware. We update the firmware and things get worse.
But
way worse.
The GTV 300, which bricked itself, was the one where we finally went. This is a thing. Yeah. Because we replaced the EFI.
Again, Tom, it's not an old thing.
No, it's a new thing.
New thing.
Because,
right. I'm not saying that I loved it the old way and I hate the new way, but I'm saying that somebody somewhere is putting out firmwares and they're relying on the customer to be the beta testers.
Exactly.
And that's not right. That's not fair. I shouldn't be the guy who finds out where your line number 4,836 of code isn't exactly right.
One of the first things you told me about Zero.
I mean, it happened all the time.
And park my shit until your engineer
you told me about Zero
figures it out.
Zero had there was an aftermarket computer program that would allow you to modify the control module on the Zero from every aspect.
The Germans figured it out.
And so Zero clamped down on this and made it.
They locked the door.
Right. Which
Hoffert's son doesn't know it yet, but Hoffert's son bought a very expensive, top-of-the-line electric scooter. He doesn't know it yet. His bike is useless. He doesn't know it yet because he hasn't been riding it. And I know that in that particular bike, that it has a little timer inside, a little clock. And when the clock says whatever, it says, I'm going to open myself up. I'm going to turn myself on. I'm going to activate a cellular network. And I'm going to ask the internet if there's any firmware updates I need. And I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes getting those firmware updates and installing them, even though my owner isn't even here, because it's what I do. And if I have any data about the way my owner rides or the things he does and the places he goes, I may give that to China in the process. Put on your tinfoil hat, but it does happen. And I'm going to do that as many times as I say I'm going to, whether it's once a day or once a week, until my very expensive batteries are dead. And then when my very expensive batteries are dead, they will live a short while until they become so dead that my very expensive batteries will not be able to be recharged. Even if you take them apart, as Tom has done, and you go directly at the batteries with electricity and use a brute force attack on them and try to bring them back to life, that will work about 20% of the time, as Princess Bride says, if they're only very mostly dead. But if they're really dead, you will not have success with that. And it will take you about 2.5 hours on the phone with tech support, using your meter and stabbing things in the places they tell you to confirm what you already knew, that these batteries are dead. But it's not until they're satisfied that they're dead that they will then have a corporate C-level discussion about whether or not this person, customer, deserves to get new batteries because they did something heinous like not ride their bike.
I have a comment when you're finished.
If they determine that you not maintaining your battery was in violation of the owner's manual that they printed out that said never let your battery go without charging for more than 30 days, if they determine that you're a good customer and that you should be rewarded, they might send you out a couple of new batteries. The retail on those batteries is around $2,200. If they determine that you were negligent and you didn't read your owner's manual and they've got some extra karma to spare and they want to just fuck you a little bit, then they'll tell your dealer, nope, this customer doesn't get 2 new batteries. This customer has to buy 2 new batteries if he wants his vehicle to be something other than a paperweight that he's only got 300 miles on. That's what Mr. Hoffert's son is going to have to face, because I know for a fact he hasn't been riding his bike. Because if he was riding his bike, he would have encountered the problem that every other person I sold one of those bikes to that has called me with. And the amount of time that the manufacturer said, oh yeah, this is a problem. We're getting a lot of calls. And they were just rubber stamping it. Yeah, fix 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 it. Well, now it's gone too long. And now it's neglect. They're not giving the yeah, fix it anymore. Now they're giving the make the bastard spend $2,200 plus on batteries. That's bullshit, because it's a brand new bike. It was over $5,000, right? And it's got 300 miles on it, and it's 8 months old or whatever. That's bullshit. And that's why I caution people when they say, I'm going to get an electric motorcycle. Do you have 4 motorcycles that run and work great? Yeah, I do. And you're buying this because you want to have the thrill of a lightning bolt shoved up your ass from 0 to 60, dead silent, rock star power. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Okay, you better be careful about the way you feed it electricity, because when they say zero maintenance, that is not true. A lot of responsibility will fall on you and the owner, as the owner, to live with some shit and maintenance charge it. Well, you know, the guy down the street said never to charge it more than 95%. In fact, even in my app here, it's got a charge limit on it that says, you know, that the charge, I can set a charge on it, is only charged at 95%. Yeah, okay, do that. Well, but I noticed after 4 months, I'm getting half the range I used to. Yeah, that's because you got to balance the cells out. So every 30 days, you got to charge that bitch for at least a day so it can bring all the cells up to the same level. No, but they told me if I charge it for more than 99%, I'm going to hurt the batteries. You're getting conflicting information. That fucks with customers when you give them conflicting information. They don't like it. It gives them a lack of confidence in the product. So I got people out there that have had a bike for a year that are straight up bitching that it used to have a 120 mile range and now it's got a 60 mile range. And I tell them, you gotta charge it for a day and a half. You got to charge it for 2 days. No, man, in the manual it says never to overcharge it. I'm like, yeah, that was the manual that came with the bike. The manual's been changed 5 times.
You can't overcharge it.
We all know that. We all know that.
Just tell them you can't.
It's also like the fuck knuckles that tell people don't use the front brake. You might go over the handlebars.
It's not.
There's a world of bad information out there.
It's only going to let it controls how it starts. You just got to plug it in.
I promise you, you'll never see the top of the mountain. You'll never see the bottom.
What I was going to say was when you're trying to resuscitate those batteries.
Yeah.
What would probably be helpful is if you could somehow find like an old shop class from a tech school or something and get a variac or a variable power supply.
I have one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you can take and throw like 40, 60, like whatever that battery is at. You can't, because you're never going to just be able to do cell to cell to cell.
Right.
Like
I've got a digital desktop power supply.
Yeah.
That I can put anything between 0 and 120 volts at it.
Okay. DC. Yeah. Perfect.
And that we can do that at any amperage you choose.
Yeah.
And we can do that. And it's funny because I went through the process of, testing these cells and everything else. If you think it's okay, if you think the system's working, I invite you to come to my shop or any other shop that sells electric vehicles and look at my stack of dead batteries. My stack of 900 to 1,000 pounds of lithium that is dead. That I hope that there's somebody somewhere who's listening to this podcast that says, dude, if you've got 900 pounds of dead lithium batteries, I want them. I'm going to come to your shop and get them. Because the only way I found to get rid of them is actually going to cost me money.
Yeah.
And that's fucked up. Because something that was designed to last 10,000 charge cycles has only done 18 charge cycles, and it's sucking a great giant smoky dick right now. It is useless. And they're sitting in my shop getting more useless every single day. It's heartbreaking. And it's like, okay, I went over here and I plugged in all these 8 bikes and I plugged them in and I charged them up and got them up to the level. And that was 41 days ago. And I went and I turned a bike on and it was bricked. It's never left my shop. Man, you talk about hard abuse.
I mean, at the end of the day, when you bring it home, you have to keep it plugged in all the time.
Well, didn't you find out about this by having one of the new ones on the floor that was not doing anything, right? And
got one right now, man.
Right, but it drained the bit.
This all started because a couple of 3 years ago, we were following the rules, winter storage, and I started getting calls from customers that said, hey, the sun's shining, the birds are chirping. I went to take my bike out and it's bricked. I said, well, what did you do?
Right.
I read my manual and it said, if I leave my bike alone for 30 days, it's going to go into sleep mode. And when it wakes up after the whole winter, I will have only lost 1% of lithiums because that's the way it was. But what he didn't know is without his permission, his bike got an update. Right. And the firmware no longer worked that way. His bike went from being a bike that last year when he parked it in November, he parked it, he walked away. And when he went back out to his bike in March, he turned the key on, he parked it at 91% and it was at 90% and life was good. The next year he did it, he parked it in November, he went out, started the bike up in February, nice bright sunny day, and his bike had no electricity. The company in question gave him a battery, replaced his battery for him free of charge. Now, they didn't pay for him to put the bike in a truck and tow it here. That sucks. But anyway, that wasn't part of the game.
Let me ask
I bet you wish you could just clean the carb on that bike.
Well, no, but
yes.
When we were building those when they first came in.
Yeah.
So I know, so these guys are following the instructions, but if you took the batteries out of the bike and just put them in the house unplugged in, would it still do that?
Do you know?
It doesn't. I'm pretty sure it's not too easy to.
Well, first of all, what Sleepy's talking about is there was a range of these bikes that had modular batteries that were removable.
Oh yeah.
Oh, these are no longer that.
No,
they were then.
No.
Oh.
Now there's only one particular bike that you can buy that still has modular batteries.
Okay.
And you pay a little extra for having the hardware built in so the battery can be modular. The rest of them now are static. And Tom found out the hard way that it's like, On the old ones, getting the old ones out was like, yeah, do this, unclip that, take the battery out. Now the new ones are like, no.
No, you have to remove half the bike to get to the battery.
So they've taken that whole swappability of the batteries and made it more like part of the superstructure of the vehicle.
That's insane, because that was the best part of the bike.
Which is really funny because it literally takes 4 bolts to remove the battery from this bike.
But
you have
the
to
Anderson
remove
connector,
27 different bolts to get to the 4 bolts you have to remove to get
and just to
which is dumb as hell.
That's my challenge when we talk about this silly electric Kawasaki.
Oh God.
And we talk about this and everyone's like, okay, well, it's electric. All my problems are over. And I'm telling you that all your problems may just be starting, because people that I have had discussions with that purchased an electric vehicle due to its promise of an absence of maintenance or support or anything are pissed off because it turns out they got to worry about it. They got to think about it. They got to be not sure if it's going to get them home at night. That's bullshit. I mean, that's something that people shouldn't have to deal with when you spend a lot of money on a name brand product. That sucks, man. That sucks. It also sucks when it looks like God's gift to sport bikes and it goes 40. And that's the biggest sin in the world right there. Like when you get something that's wind tunnel tested to go 175 miles an hour and it goes 40.
It's literally a Buddy 50.
It might as well look like a Moto Compo.
Right.
Because at least then it would be honest.
Right.
Right? If it looked like a Moto Compo.
If it does 40, it is 5 mile an hour slower than a de-restricted Buddy 50.
But you're missing the point. It needs all those aerodynamics to be able to go 40.
You know what's kind of sad? I've seen a couple of YouTube videos where people bought the $500 BMW kids toy motorcycle.
Yeah.
And got that to go 40 miles an hour.
Well, yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Look, Meckelfresh and I dicked around with a power wheelchair.
Right.
It was way too fast. Way too fast. The power wheelchair at 25 felt like you were going 1,000.
Oh, yeah.
This at 41 is going to feel like you've got something broken.
Yeah, right.
Right? And nobody wants to drive a 200 mile an hour motorcycle. And with that riding position, too.
Well, maybe what they didn't tell you is that it goes 0 to 40 in like 0.2 seconds.
If it went 0 to 40
in 0.2 seconds.
Like that, right? That might
it
be
handles so
story.
well. The handling is just amazing. Except you can't get any G's going into a corner, so you're literally just sitting upright as you go through a corner. Because
I can't remember for the life of me.
It has solid tires because it doesn't even need air.
Oh my God. What was the name of that ridiculous electric scooter that was you sat down in it and it was like I'm talking about the beast. Shit. What's her name? The cyber lady on YouTube, the Chinese woman with the big boobs.
I don't know who this is, but I'm interested.
Bill?
You had me at big boobs.
All right. Naomi's, and I'm going to tell you how I got there, guys. I just Googled cyber girl YouTube big boobs. and her name is Naomi Wu, and she is the sexy cyborg. And so the sexy cyborg is Naomi Wu. And we're not going to let this play because, we'll get demonetized or defunded or something.
It's on YouTube.
We can't do that, Tom. We can't do that.
No boobs on YouTube.
We're not allowed to do that.
You boob.
All right? Yeah, we're not allowed. That's not legal. That's not kosher. Can't do that.
Boobs on you boob.
Right. But the long and short of it is this. I'm going to throw it up just so the folks at home can see what the fuck we're talking about. But anyway, this is Naomi. Naomi Wu is her channel. You should watch it because she's fucking a genius. She's not fucking a genius. She is a genius. And Naomi, the magic of Naomi is that she is a Chinese person and she will take you through building of computers and building of hardware. She is
building of erections.
Yeah, she can. You thought God was the only one that could make lumber.
Yeah.
Nope. Turns out Naomi can make lumber. But
it took 325 years to grow a redwood and 13 seconds to grow this fucking wood.
Call her Hammer Mill.
She has she bought, there's this one particular scooter, and God damn it, I'm trying to think of which one it was. But there's thank you. It's called the Extreme Bull. I knew I'd get there sooner or later.
I was never going to get there.
I knew I would. Okay, so there's a thing called the Extreme Bull scooter. The Extreme Bull scooter is $4,500.
Huh.
Okay, and it's $4,500.
You better turn this off because
but,
a little bit of volume.
Yeah, I think we're gonna shut that off in the background. Exactly.
I feel like Morpheus, and we're underground, and the robots are chasing after us.
Ain't you right? I mean, at that point, yeah, for sure.
They're gonna hear us.
Yeah. Okay. So the Extreme Bull scooter is an electric scooter that runs well over 65 miles an hour. The trick, though, is it gets there in 2 seconds.
Huh.
Okay. It's fast.
Is it furious?
Oh, John.
Is it all about the family?
She was a little disappointed that I got there in 2 seconds. Sorry.
It's pretty fast. So the K6 the Extreme Bull is 146 volts.
You got a picture?
Now, that's not your average. Yeah.
I like boobs as much as the next guy. But
I know, but we're ready to see that, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Scooter
all right.
boobs?
Yeah. It's got front and rear wheel drive.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So it's front and wheel drive. It is stupid fast. I mean, it is stupid
I've
fast.
seen this thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's 2-wheel drive and they're both overclocked, crazy, overpowerful motors, it's insanely fast. And the trick is when you're riding it in full power mode, unless you're on dry asphalt, you can't hook up.
Right.
You just can't. It's going to run away from you every single fucking time. And that element of it, that idea, this is what electricity is all about. So Alien Rides does it. It's a kooky thing. The reason I want to bring it up is, look, we have it. This is here. You can buy this.
They should have called that the Motocampo or put a kit on it that you could just slap around it and make it look like a fucking lowered Motocampo.
Yeah, right? I mean, this thing is fucking mental. And it is mental. But the point is, it does everything that you want the electric vehicle riding experience to do. It goes from 0 to 60 in 0.0 seconds of some fucking shit. It's bonkers. I mean,
you just think and you're already going 60. You're like,
but that's the thing is, everybody who's ever ridden it, everybody who's done a YouTube channel about it and shot a video of it, they put it in the super fun mode, right? They put it in the super F, the super fucked mode, and they just like, okay, all right, you got the cameras going? Great, I'm going to hit it. And they hit it, and it just peels out with both front and the rear tires, and they're like, dope, that's enough. And I was so tempted. If I had Liza's Patreon money, I wouldn't have bought a sidecar for my TNT 135. I would have bought this. And I would have just forced people at Mid-Ohio to ride it because it's the devil. This shit is evil. There's nothing about it that's not evil. It weighs 165 pounds and it goes from 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. That's not safe. That's really bad.
that's Ferrari.
Do you know what it doesn't have? It doesn't have ABS. You know what else it doesn't have? Traction control. What it does have is it fits under your goddamn arm.
Yeah.
It is a Motocampo. It's fucking bonkers. It's absolutely ape shit bonkers.
I like that there's smoke everywhere.
I don't think you can operate this without smoke. And the funny thing is, you can't buy this. The only way you can buy it, it comes with 2 extra tires. How bold is that they're sending you a vehicle and including with the vehicle 2 extra tires? I think that this is where the energy of being an electric motor vehicle should be. Bonkers, crazy shit like this. Because, yeah, this is the size of a suitcase.
Wait, why is it smoking? Oh, she's doing
Because she's doing a front and rear wheel burnout. Yeah, that was the front tire and the back tire making smoke at the same time. It's goofy. Now, it's too low. Traffic can't see it, right?
That's what the stick is for.
Yeah, in England, they got all kinds of crazy rules. They can ride things in England we're not allowed to ride here. Like, they're allowed to ride monkey bikes on the street and stuff here and there, but we're not allowed to do that here. But that's what this thing's all about, is just being an insanely small, ridiculously overpowered electric thing, electric toy. It's crazy, man. And yeah, if I got hit by a car and got like an extra $10,000 of fuck you money, I'd buy one of these. And I'd force you all to ride it because I have a feeling that this is one of those machines where if you get off of it and you haven't crashed or died or hurt yourself, yeah, well done.
Are the feet turning with the handlebars?
Nope, they're not. The handlebars are turning. Your feet are out there in the front like outriggers or canard wings or whatever you want to call it. They're just out there. And by the way, zero fucks given about aerodynamics, right?
Yeah, it's a brick wall.
It's a brick wall, but it's goddamn fast. I've never seen a review of this thing. Alien Rides Extreme Bull scooter.
John, you could put your airplane nose cone on it, and I bet you get an extra 10. Oh, he's up. But he could.
That took no time at all. No, he's in it to win it right now. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. All right.
You guys still talking about electric bulls?
We are talking about electric toys.
All right.
He took
but I involved your nose cone. You missed the nose cone stuff.
Oh.
That could go.
Oh, man. All
But
right.
John, we were talking about repowering a CB360.
Electrics? Fuck you.
Fuck you. John wants
Actually,
no part of
I
electric.
really don't care much about a CB.
Hey,
But I will say about this ugly little fucker, carries 440 pounds,
yeah.
which is unlike every electric bike I've ever dealt with,
Yeah.
where they're always like, oh, I'm checking out an electric scooter. It goes 60 miles an hour. How much does it carry? 180. What? Who the fuck weighs 180?
Yeah, no
Right?
kidding.
Yeah. And it's got the balls to have two sets of pegs.
Like at my best, I went down to 190 and I
Right.
was happy.
It's thrilled. But that's
What kind of suspension does it have?
the back.
None.
It does.
What kind of suspension does it have?
It has Ein suspensions. It has suspensions at the front end.
It has Ein.
I was
No,
paying
it has
attention. I know it's fast as stink and everything.
It has suspensions.
There's no way I'm paying $5,000 for that.
Well, that's the point.
Hey, John.
No, that's the
John,
point.
There's no
Is there?
way.
This is
You
relegated.
also wouldn't buy a Supreme jacket that every kid that owns that has. So, yeah.
That's
No
true too.
way.
That's also true.
No way.
This is Johnny Knoxville, Bam Margera territory. This is basically
This is the kid who was at the fucking state park campground riding around on his one wheel thing and like kept kind of like cruising by like
the
look at
one
me.
wheel
Oh, and
guys.
then he's walking his dog with his one wheel thing. Like everybody's got to see I'm on this cool one wheel thing.
All right, no, I'm going to go one step further. If you were capable of riding a one wheel, this is like a step down from a one wheel.
yeah. This would punch a one wheel in the dick. This
No,
thing
I
is.
think
Have you
it's the
seen
other
the
way
off-road
around.
one-wheel shit, though? The dudes are jumping 20-foot fucking
Right.
doubles and stuff.
I was just amazed. I'm at I'm at the RV show, and this guy sets up his entire booth riding a one wheel. Like everything he had carts and things and everything else. He was using his one wheel as a motive power device, so that he was moving like trash cans and all kinds of. It was remarkable how much work he was getting done with a one wheel.
I mean,
Right.
if you down, this is a downgrade from one wheel. Not gonna lie.
Well,
If you
except for
can
the fact that on the one wheel, I would have busted all my teeth out already.
Right.
So fuck that thing.
Like I said, if you can't ride a one wheel, you ride this.
yeah.
One wheel doesn't go 0 to 60 in 2 seconds.
Exactly.
I don't think this mobility scooter
Look
does
at that.
either.
This does.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Because it looks like a mobility scooter.
Well,
That goes 0 to 60 in 2 seconds.
That's fine. He's not doing 60 right now.
She.
that's a sheet, right?
They.
They're not going to right now.
She
The
also
Extreme
put her
Bull, yeah.
gloves on before she put her helmet, which I want to know how she tightened her
Right.
helmet.
No kidding.
Yeah. The
Just dumb things like that.
Kids these days in their
Well, that's
electric
kind of no. It's my
scooters.
job being a video guy because
Right.
if we did that at work, the OSHA or somebody would be like, "Well, her helmet wasn't fucking."
oh yeah.
attached."
Oh, believe
Yeah.
me. Oh, that's the first thing people say.
So,
Like,
hey.
right.
Patreon people,
Right.
and everybody else earn their fucking their content this time. We're at 242.
Are we
and we're
really?
still rolling?
Get out of here.
Oh, God.
Jesus Christ, man. Okay, that's ridiculous. We got to end this shit. Anybody else got anything else?
I'm not going to tell a boot or Thibodeau joke. This
Okay,
you're not.
we haven't got any drink recipes in yet. You guys got to
have
get working.
not.
I put the drink recipe out for the double black.
Okay.
The double black old fashioned is out. It's on our Patreon notes. So if you find the video, you'll see our recipe for a double black. You want that? You would definitely want to put that in your mouth hole. The other thing you might want to do is give us a recipe. Give us a drink recipe that you think is going to be fucking delicious.
We're working with.
Well, we got a fully stocked bar.
We do.
And if we don't have an ingredient to make the drink you send us, we will buy the ingredient to make the drink you send us.
Or you could send it to us.
Or you can bring us the ingredient
for
the drink you send us. So yeah, for real, that's a thing. So
or if you show up with a pitcher of cocktails, ingredients, somebody might let you talk.
Hey, Detroit guy's gonna be here next week. So like you said, So there you go. That's that. Anything else? No. Ride fast and take chances. Play us out, Johnny Mac.
Bum bum ba ba bum ba ba bum 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 ba ba bum
Press the red button. Get us out of here. Eject.